for some reason it is impossible to seemingly for them to admit it.
And hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, in
Yep.
sync.
This should absolutely, definitely be functioning perfectly fine. As always, hello, everyone.
Sure, be useful.
What's happening? What? Yeah, plugging that in would be useful, Michael. Good job. Good job.
That might just let us do the news.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, hello. It's the launch week of the patch.
Yep, absolutely.
We've both logged in and played a lot.
Yep, I actually did log in.
Oh, shit, really?
I didn't want to, right?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to because I didn't want to be an MAU for the patch launch day. But I did have to go and change how my character looked and then immediately log out straight away again.
Ah, I should probably go do that too.
It's brutal how after so long, it's still just, nah, that's my character. I don't want to play Paladin very much. I don't want to play the game, but Lysilda is my character still.
You have to do it.
Have to.
That's the way it is.
Have to give her a haircut, like.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how it is.
No, the main thing I've noticed, I mean, there's changes for us to get into, of course.
Of course there are.
No, main thing I noticed, many reports from Night Stalker, hello, of humongous catalogued research gains. Like 10,000 a day.
Yep.
So Korthia is humongously being sped up, and everything else is the same, other than quality of life being there. That's pretty much that, until, of course, the Legion Time Walking comes out.
Yeah, which is...
Maybe I'll hop in and do that. I mean, the thing is, if the Legion Time Walking can handily be done on a level 45 character, a Legion-leveled character, then I'll be able to go and do it in all my ults. Or, try it in all my ults, but...
I'm pretty sure it's level 50.
Balls.
Yep. I'm fairly sure it's level 50.
Balls.
Obviously, no one's reported that because it's not out yet, but I'm pretty sure last I checked on PTR, you were allowed to queue below 50, but it would just lock you in the loading screen loop. So it was 50 and above were allowed in, and obviously everything disabled. At least that's the last from PTR I heard.
No, 5 levels ain't too much, but...
Yep.
Yeah, so look, that's what's going on. 9.1.5, we all know what it is. Last that, there's been a few funny little surprises. The Valor Point and Conquest caps are gone, I imagine. Imagine Mr. Dakor has he got this in the dock? Yes, he does.
Of course he does. He never misses.
But, we'll be nice, and we'll do the dock in his order. Which means it's time to talk about the World of Warcraft Community Council.
Woo!
Otherwise known as, I'm going to, put my best foot forward in our big video and have all those lingering doubts and all those stories that I know and just squash them a little bit and say, maybe this time. Because this is really this is the last chance they have. It really is. So, yes, if you want the difference between me and Breach's sort of, I mean, he didn't do a video, it was a stream reaction. It's pretty much that. I've heard pretty much all the same stories. I imagine he has more detail, but I've heard from many of the theory crafting people what has went on the private version of these forums.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about Magdalena's thread and the second screenshot recently that was, I mean, oh dear, no. Let's just say that screenshot was a prime example of, Discords exist. Why bother with the classes and the talents? Wah! Yeah. That's maybe not. Imagine that emotion, but ran through a filter of r/I am very smart.
Oh, that's cutting. That's cutting.
I mean, it's exactly what it was, right?
Yeah. This
like, I just want to say back to that. Have you ever heard of Riot Games and Valve, League of Legends and Dota, and how those developers successfully balance all of their things, even with Discords existing?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I guess to stop being a cock to anonymous dev who got ridiculed by a bunch of the theory crafters for posting on the private forum, the community council is instead going to be public, which is going to unlock incredible features such as transparency, such as people with the wrong opinions getting hunted down and flamed in the internet, and other, extremely bright, happy things.
Perfect.
So I understand this being public because what they're going to want is the dev communications to be something that can be picked up on. And also a bit of that's probably going to be like, right, guys, right, team, we have to communicate in a reasonable manner. This is going publicly. So, don't have your preconceived notions accidentally slip out onto the keyboard, team. So, it forces a different mode of communication. It has some transparency and all of that. But of course, then the issues are witch hunting and, what's going to happen when somebody comes in and is like, no, the Covenant lock was actually great for my fantasy. Which, we're all going to laugh and say, haha, that's a bit of a silly opinion. But, at least there's an atom of truth or, something behind that opinion, where there is the argument to be made. Then it's the sort of thing, you don't want a situation where it's always groupthink and always consensus. Because then, people of high conviction, but not the most popular beliefs, they'll get crowded out, and that can be quite a bad thing. And with the mechanics of the internet, that can lead to, people getting witch hunted and bad shit going on and things like that. So with the community council, it's like there's all of the skepticism being channeled by, like, say, Preach, which I see some people say, all Preach does is farm negativity. I know, Mike, it's not. That's seriously not it. There is a reason why that man is so much happier seeming right now, and it's because actually he is the complete opposite of thriving in negativity.
Yeah, I think it's that fun thing where I feel they really need to, like, having this actually have everything aired out might be helpful more than anything else, because clearly their private attempts have failed miserably in the past. I think that's there, where now it's a case of, if this is public and people can see what feedback's actually going through in the place where they're supposed to see it, then they have no excuses anymore. Whereas private feedback, no one knows that's went down except for the private feedback people who can't say it. So they, it's just under the carpet, jobs are good. And as it currently stands, with all the public feedback that people give over betas and over patches and stuff, that's not officially feedback. So they can go, that's just someone in the ether shouting something. How are we supposed to see that? But now that both of those excuses are gone, where it's like, no, we can point to literally where in the forum you're supposed to read and you've promised to read, you've not fucking read. So there's that kind of element of, they're kind of putting their, I don't want to say their heart on their sleeve, but they are exposing their neck.
They are, yeah.
Specifically,
I guess if you want to piss blood at something. So I've heard this story from numerous people. Now, obviously, it could be false or whatever, but I have heard it from a few people. And it was basically the defense of Shards of Domination and the posts on a private feedback forum on the Domination shards. Now, if that was to happen in public, we would have a bit of an interesting situation.
Yes.
We would have the community basically say, your internal reasoning for this, which basically is that they're the same as tier sets, why would people be unhappy about this, is awful logic, and we know it hasn't worked out well. So you'd have that thing where, the community would be able to give far more targeted and specific feedback on the issue, but also on an individual. Yeah. And that could certainly lead to funky business that's not exactly what we want to have going on. So there is just that little, there's pros and cons to it being public, I suppose. Yeah. It's interesting to think them over, and we'll just need to wait and see for implementation of this to see how it actually goes. For other things, there is the announcement video.
Oh yes.
Look, I don't want to be mean here. Now, the extreme levels of cringe in this video are really not the fault of any individual on this video. Part of it's the editing. You see, if you try to get people to speak a sentence naturally, and then you just go and get these two words from him, these two from her, these three, and then you stitch it together, everyone is going to sound like a weird stilted robot who is terrified. So that's not a way to edit this video that's actually going to make your staff shine. So, like, you know, number one. And on these things, I can say, you know, we have more experience than them on doing YouTube videos. I mean, certainly things like this. So this isn't a thing for being cruel to them or laughing at them or, you know, punching down on Blizzard or anything. But it is something where if they want to be taken seriously, they need to start putting out video content here that does feel professional. I think that is really important. So just things here like, why is a crew not going to Morgan's house? You know, dropping
COVID restrictions.
They can work around that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that you got to go and get one of these cameras we use, like a Blackmagic friggin' 4K, but, you know, at least there's multiple people at Blizzard who stream, and they know how to stream with a DSLR into a cam link. At bare minimum, this should be done for all of the staff. If you're going to have something like this, if possible, try to have a recording room in the Blizzard office. Take people in for a limited, specific amount of time so that it's okay with state regulations or whatever, because I have no idea what's going on in Cali. But assuming it is, you know, work from home stuff. Get them good microphones, right? Like, let's not have our game director talking into, again, no offense, but that's a grand setup if you're raiding and you're just doing VoIP with, you know, with your people. But that's, you know, just some random headset. That's not the deal. When people think of, you know, oh, this is a video from the World of Warcraft team, we should see good video, we should see good audio, and it shouldn't be edited in a way that opens the people up, the hosts of the video, well, just to, you know, not really have their best foot forward. Because everyone here feels more awkward and stilted than they are. And a few of these are people I've talked to, and I know they are not awkward and stilted. It's just the way the video's put together. You know, it's not putting their best foot forward. So just from the point of being video producers, I would say, like, good idea. I get the concept and all of those things, but really that is not the level of production we should be seeing from a big company. And frankly, you know, even if you're thinking of like doing YouTube yourself, like, you know, you'd never put something like that out. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's just important because, you know, community perception is a really important thing. And it's a bit like the concept of, you know, like, say, price anchoring. Yeah. Right. Where, you know, you try to root. It's weird. You get into negotiation tactics and you'll start to come off like a bunch of psychopaths. But I don't know, what would you call it? Quality anchoring, expectations anchoring. But, you know, if you you want to put your best foot forward, and if the foot that you've put forward looks like extremely amateur and feels really awkward to watch and is just kind of embarrassing and stilted, because like, here's another really important thing, and this is something companies don't get. Talking either into a teleprompter or, in this case, reading it, because this seems like a script. Yeah. That is a skill. And don't, you know, try if possible, like, get away from people to have like lots of reps in off cam before they actually start doing that stuff. Yeah. You know, this would have been better if you just chose any one of these people, or maybe you did a longer video than this and, you know, gave each one of them a segment where they could just speak naturally in their natural voice. So that's just a little bit of feedback that I would give them, because I want things like this to be a success. But a part of that has got to be, well, you know, the bits working and doing their job. And certainly when you look at this video, I know that, you know, not these dislikes are primarily not from people who are saying, oh, this production quality isn't great. Yeah. But, you know, if we launched a video one day and it had sort of vastly below what one would expect production quality, people would be like, well, what the hell, dude? That's not. And, you know, they'd actually take the content of our messaging less seriously as well. Yeah, because it would be a difference in the quality received versus the quality expected. Yeah. So, like, I'm not trying to be pedantic, but I think these things are important, and we have been in a work from home situation for long enough that really, like, come on, Blizzard, why are you not getting, and you work with corporate partners all the time, so you could probably get it for free, but like, why aren't you sending a default video kit to these people? And, you know, even if it means you've got to have some engineer who just has to have their daily PCR test as they go around all of these people's houses to get them set up. But, it doesn't take a pro, like a video production pro, much time whatsoever to set this stuff up well. And just when it's going out to so many people, it is important.
Yep, absolutely. And I can actually, now that last week has passed or this week has passed, I can now say definitely the amount of time it takes to be able to speak into a teleprompter is insane. You really wouldn't expect how difficult it is to actually be vaguely natural reading script. Like, I hope the amount of takes that I had to do before that video went live this week never see the light of day, because they were fucking atrocious. They were atrocious. I'm still not even happy with the end product, but God, they were fucking bad. Like, they were bad.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Even actors struggle with the teleprompter.
Yeah.
Like, because, what actors are going to be a bit more used to is working on stage, or, working on camera or something, but where, they've learned their lines. But if you throw somebody who's an actor into a teleprompter situation, like, if they don't have teleprompter skills, it's going to be pretty rough. And I think especially, like, another thing too, whenever in a production environment, people are talking about interviews, there are loads of, like, tips and tactics to get a good interview out of someone who is not, by default, someone who's, like, mega used to being on a camera. And there's just a bunch of that stuff that's not really being employed either. So, yeah, there's stuff going on there. Blizzard should definitely try to level up in this regard. I think as time goes on, there is going to be a larger and larger need for community outreach programs like this. Also, videos from the team, things like that. And they just need to get them up to snuff. And if they do the hard work now and they put in the investment now, it will, I can guarantee you, it will pay off.
Yeah, I mean, there is the angle that people are talking about in chat that it's obviously a marketing choice to be, hey, it's just us, we're in our own home, we've got our headsets, we're just kind of, talking away as if we're just normal, we're just people like you.
Well, yeah, I mean, if their normal is that stilted and weird, then man, which I know it isn't, because I've seen most of these people talk, and they don't come off like that at all.
Yeah, it's that weird thing where I think they would have been in the right spirits, but they kind of almost were too stilted on an idea level, not just on camera, but the idea of, like, if you're going to do a live chat, do a live chat. Like, they could have watched, I mean, obviously you go on about it a lot, but the Star Citizen stuff, or whatever it was we were watching last week, was it
some CitizenCon stuff?
Yeah, some CitizenCon stuff, and it was really good, to the point where I don't give a shit about Star Citizen. And I ended up just standing behind you while you were watching. I was like, fuck it. Yeah. I just watched this for half an hour. Shit, how'd that happen?
And that's their big event, but they do, like, weekly or every 2 weeks or whatever inside Star Citizen videos that are all, like, really, really, really good. And you might say, well, yeah, Michael, but that's Star Citizen, so they're running an active, crowdfunding campaign, so they get very direct ROI from these things. Well, yeah, Blizzard are running a subscription MMO.
Yep.
So you want overall engagement in World of Warcraft, and that's going to mean playing the game. We already know for them it means reading the books and doing all those outside of the game things. And that could also mean following the esports, which is on the World of Warcraft channel, and also following what the developers are doing and, the game being developed. So there's plenty to do there. To go through some other things on this, then, there's the public forum. I'll ask members to share their experiences and perspectives on anything in the game. Now, of course, people are already sharing their experiences and perspectives on anything in the game now. Actually, we do it quite regularly on YouTube. Kalani does, Soul does, Tally does, Preach did. Right? There's so many people doing this for free already. And then if you go to the forums, there's loads of people in the forums who do this. And I even saw, PvP. There's been a lot of feedback on the PvP gearing system in patch 9.1.5. They're still not happy. Their core things have not been addressed. If you actually go to the forum, there's, like, a thing in the WoW forums where if something, like, if a thread has got enough, like, views and replies, like, it's not like it's like a hot thread or whatever, but, like, it gets a little highlight. So it's even highlighted and all of that, and that's got to mean it's been seen. And nothing they've said has seemingly made it in. And in the PvP community, there is, like, it's not the thing I was the most aware of until I looked out for it, because I'm not really in that community. But it was stuff they really... they seemed to have some very good arguments. It all seemed very reasonable. And they just felt like they'd completely been ignored. And that the things Blizzard had done really were, like, kind of off base a bit. And it's like, okay, so there's going to be this new forum, but what was stopping a dev from hopping onto that forum post on the current forums and doing a reply? What was stopping them from doing that? And those are some of the questions that I ask myself. Sure, Priest asks himself. I think the reason for the way that we took it in the video we went to publish is that we're both very, at this stage, like pretty skeptical, because the WoW team have proven themselves to be arrogant and stubborn, and I know there's a few people in the WoW team who don't like us because they have me blocked on Twitter. But I'm going to say again, your boss literally said you were stubborn in the interview he gave to VentureBeat. He said the team basically institutionally was stubborn. So that's not me throwing some, crazy criticism at you. That's something your director's admitted to.
Yeah.
And, it's like at what stage? Look at Shadowlands. Every single idea you had failed. Like pretty much. Every system's failed.
Yep.
Look at Battle for Azeroth. Most of them failed. You look at Legion, like they powered through it, but it's like, how can you be so stubborn and arrogant? And then I guess you see some of the things like the leaked screenshot from Magdalena's Twitter of, basically blaming the Discords and all those communities. It's like, yeah, sure. That definitely does put some more scrutiny on what you're doing. And that does mean that there is an apparatus at play to immediately tunnel to the right thing. But there was quite a lot more blame, because you've seen the screenshot, I showed it to you.
Yeah, I've.
There was quite a bit more blame, kind of implicit, like the connotation of it was, pretty rough. And it's like, man, is that really the perception going on there? So, it's just that thing. The past of the game does make it all seem weird. But then you got people like Josh Augustine who are, who are very public about wanting to work with the community, who, every time Josh pokes his head above the parapet, he gets like a pincushion full of arrows, bullets, fireballs, everything. And I see it, because I think he's got a really good message and a positive message. So I'll retweet him and like his thing. And, many of the comments that he'll get, because, then that means I'm looped into the things. And many of them very positive. And there's also loads that are like, yeah, lol, but you guys don't listen. And I think, in one of them, he even replied to one of those, being like, I really am trying.
Yeah.
So, I think it's for the good of those people that, I want this to be successful. And then I suppose there's the stories I cannot share of things that, that I've heard as well, that would make me hope that perhaps some of that cadre of the team are not involved in this, because they don't seem to be. TLDR, man-child. Actually, you'd be surprised how many problems boil down to the simple thing of man-child.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and obviously that's like, that kind of thing doesn't come to any solution, because that's sort of, the problem is with the person. So if you try to think of like what direction we could move to solve that, is almost nothing that the user or a player or anyone can do. It's up to them to make the internal change and change how their attitude is towards all this stuff. And the kind of the sort of vague guidance I would give on that front is, everything I read from on that perspective from specific people comes across as very defensive. Like you're saying about the screenshot of it basically boiled down to, this is not like we can't do anything about this because there are all these roadblocks that are external, and it's externalizing problems in a way. And it comes down to, that is, while it is an excuse and it's technically a reason, that is the idea of, well, this is what we think is going to happen, so let's not try. As opposed to, well, have you considered trying? Have you considered doing something to, bat those external factors away and keep them off?
See, I feel like they might say we do, but then we can all turn around and be like, okay, well, why are most of the legendary effects not viable? Why are most of them useless? Why have you filled the game full of passive damage modifiers that are really boring, that nobody cares about? Why are you so slow to pick up on things? Yeah. It's like, then people would. So I wonder what the state of things is like, that agility can't be something, or maybe they are really paralyzed they actually know what the changes to make are, but they know as well that loads of people have crafted those legendaries, and loads of people have, done whatever, and if you just change the whole way of things in a hotfix in the middle of a tier, then you'll have a lot of anger, including maybe from the people who bought those legendaries with gold from WoW Token.
Yeah, no,
which makes it hard.
Yeah, there's a very, very, very interesting book that I was reading that a lot of that idea comes from, and the actual literally phrase of the title of the book will make sense for how they would combat that, and it is the book called The Courage to be Disliked. And it is the idea of just they need to actually have the courage to make the changes that will be for the betterment of the entire game, but I guess it's just that can they muster the courage to make those changes that actually will improve the game, and do they want to improve the game in the way we want it improved? And also,
courage or not, I think they are a bit disliked now.
Yeah, so it's like, are they capable of making the changes as well? That's the big thing. Where I don't know if I have a lot of faith in certain aspects of the team for going forward, but we'll have to see what the philosophical change ultimately brings down to. What it ultimately boils down to in terms of what, if they're going to go for an older philosophy, a better one, even though Ian threw the old guard under the bus in that interview. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah? Fuck me sideways. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've got media training to do on Tuesday. I think because we've got stuff coming up with the game soon, and just as a part of the process as a developer, you do get sent through media training. So if I come out on Wednesday as just a complete useless fucking husk, you'll know. But yeah, that felt. I don't know. It just felt very strange to me, and I talked about it in the video in a way that was trying to be like, if this is what I initially thought it was, this is really bad. But he could have meant this, and it could just be bad phrasing, and let's just hope that it's the good thing. But man, I think buck passing is something that ass covering and buck passing is not well liked.
Yeah, I think everyone can tell it from a mile away. They go, no, hang on a second. This is your problem.
Did you just blame this on people who are no longer at the company? Potentially because they did a lot of bad things in a few people's cases.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that it's that statement, it's that idea that keeps all the skepticism of this alive. Whereas it's just, if there was ever an honest phrase out of anyone at the company that didn't come across as a media trained interview or a community council video that's very clearly very corporate, trying to be casual, and everyone can smell that, it's a thing where no matter how hard you try to be casual, if you're a corporation, if you aren't actually acting like a casual kind of conversation, or if you're not actively in basically the minds with the players, you're not going to know how to behave. It's the same thing I always really, really enjoy about certain places on the internet, where as soon as anyone who's an imposter turns up, the average person will never tell that imposter. But you will just see the entire wave, this big anonymous wave of people just turn around and go, you're the odd one out. And you're like, how the fuck did they get that? But it's just the deep cultural stuff.
Yeah, you're just like a Redditor on 4chan.
Exactly.
You're instantly sniffed out.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. If you're a Redditor on 4chan, they know. They can smell you. What that says about Redditors, I don't know.
Internet sniffing powers.
Yeah, so I think it's the same thing here, where until they actually start to embody those values that they say they will, or embody the values players kind of want, then they're just going to be looked at like, no, you're almost like a strange online and video game variant of the Uncanny Valley.
That's pretty good.
Where that's the thing. That's the creepiest thing of all. If you think about the Uncanny Valley as an evolutionary response, it means at one point in human history, we all, as a species, or like the precursor to basically every human alive, had reason to be very terrified of anything that looked like it but wasn't.
Yeah,
that's a fun one to mull over in your head. But you can do that online. You can do that with thoughts and philosophical differences very easily.
Yeah. For getting onto the council, there's it was very funny because I actually did fill this out. I wasn't going to initially. I'm just going to say this. I rate my chances of being in this at like fucking 0.1%. I mean, pretty simple. Bunch of the devs, including people who I think might be on that, do have me blocked on Twitter. So,
Yep.
I mean, there's a decent chance. Just going to say that means I'm nowhere fucking near any of this shit. That said, I can confirm to you that there are developers who did watch the videos that we put out. Now, who knows? Some of them may no longer be at the company. I don't mean in that way, by the way, not for the recent things.
Yeah.
So, I know that our things would end up making it into the vaunted halls of Blizzard Entertainment. Look, if I was sort of in and around here, I would be interested in hopping onto this forums and giving it the old sort of college try. It would be very fun. I linked the channel. I linked WoW Tales. I forgot what the other thing I linked was. So I did it. I was initially not going to because I didn't really think I'd have the time. But a lot of people on Twitter and a few other places said they wanted me to, and I thought, oh well, I'll throw it. I'll throw my hat in the ring and see what happens. And if I do get it, I'll carve out the time. So we'll see. We'll see. Now, in fairness, I will say, there was one or two times I was having conversations, quick little ones with Lore, and Lore was like super receptive to stuff for player feedback, and like we were talking about dev interviews and things like that, and I think he took it initially as public interviews, and I'm like, oh no, like dude, I don't want content from this. I don't give a shit about making videos. Like knowing that, say, like Preach as well, like he doesn't give a shit about getting a video out of an interview. He actually I'm the same. Just want to have a little bit of time to be like, hello there. Our opinion is, here's a few little issues that are going to cause you problems, so let's fix them now early. So, who knows? Because he was actually very pro that idea and, pro all of those things. And, generally, I think he's trying his best. He just... I think there might just have been budget cuts in the community department, given that, all the people went and seemingly took a while for them to be replaced. Oh dear, that firing, eh? That firing. So, look, I threw my hat in the ring. I'd encourage you to throw yours in the ring as well if you feel like you've got some stuff to contribute, and especially if you've got varied playstyles too. Because I think what's actually really important is they thought that I think it's a bit insulting what they thought about casual players, honestly. They thought that casual players needed needed to not be able to go to another covenant for an ability in order for them to think it's a meaningful choice. They completely misunderstood like why even a dialogue option in FF14 can cause you tremendous heartache. Even though it means fucking nothing to the game.
Yeah.
It's because it's how you define your fantasy and you define your character. So I feel like quite a lot of the decision makers in that team, like a fair few of them actually do come from the same guild, Elitist Jerks. And you might actually know Elitist Jerks. I used to browse the Elitist Jerk forums back in the day, trying to see what was up with being better at the game. But a bunch of them, Ian and a few others are from that guild, EJ. And that's probably more to say that they probably do themselves represent more of a mythic player. Yeah. So maybe we just need a way where like casual players can come in and be like, oh, maybe that was an assumption you guys had about us. And actually, basically what I think would end up happening is you'd find out that casual players and super hardcore players don't really have competing interests.
Nope.
Because I don't think the casual players want to do a mythic raid. And the Mythic Raiders don't want to be forced to do things they don't want to do either. Yeah. So actually, a happy game, I think what the casual people and the Mythic people want, they shouldn't be stepping on each other's toes. But it just feels like the game is all very tightly lashed together, such that everything steps on everyone's toes and everyone's angry at each other.
Yeah, it's, I'm trying to think of a decent analogy for it, but it's... And I don't want to go straight and talk about Yoshida Uncensored, which I've been reading for maybe a video, but he talks about FF14 being a theme park in terms of how they design it. And the idea is, well, not everyone's going to go on a roller coaster, so you have to have other things in your attraction.
Yeah.
You have to have a whole wide array of things to do in your theme park, otherwise people will not do.
No, Matt.
People won't like it all.
No, Matt. Install 3 roller coasters and make the queue experience as convoluted as possible.
As funny as it sounds, that is actually the experience of World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You want on this roller coaster? Yeah, we'll jump some fucking hoops for us first. Oh man, that's brutal.
Yeah.
That's actually that is really redefined how that game is in my head for me. Just that thought. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly. You know, man, Popeye, what a good ride. What a good ride. Universal Orlando. So there you go. That's the community council. Look, I'm going to say we will take any wins we can get from this. We will have to, see this as them genuinely wanting to do things different. And that means two things. It means if they slip back in, then they're going against their word. And we have a reason to be like, hello, are you going against your word? The other side of that is, we all march forward together into the happy sunset.
Yeah.
And it all gets better.
Yeah. There is one unfortunate thing about their naming decision, though.
Uh-oh.
It is council. So, well, first of all, the Horde Council. And I don't think people are generally happy with that idea very much. I'm not too sure. But mostly it brings a specific quote to mind. Because, you throw on the Endwalker trailer and you just go, Blizzard would keep its council while the world is lost to ruin. Like, there you go. Yep, there you go. Well, Blizzard would keep its council while the world of Warcraft is lost to ruin. It just...
It's the 100 copers.
It's that thing where if you just do things like that, you lose the meme war. I haven't seen anyone actually, comment on that yet, but it is the case of you those little things, just you lose the meme war. People don't care about you anymore. That's the natural progression.
I think that just means that whoever is currently running the World of Warcraft Twitter account just needs to have their roles and responsibilities massively expanded.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I'm just thinking, how much work would it be if every single Twitter reply we did had to be rendered into a 15-second video? Oh, God, that'd be some work, I'd say.
Yep.
So there we go. Right, so the next thing then... let's talk about some of the community reactions.
Yes, let's go.
So first from Magdalena, who, for clarity, is somebody that I know. So there's our terrible ethical quandary done. But you know what? Actually, that doesn't actually link to anything, does it?
No, just the quotes are all in the article.
Back we go. Well, yeah, so there was this was the big thread. This was the big thread, the I will no longer be silent thread.
If that's how you started Twitter thread, you mean business.
Yeah, so if you know Arcturus, it was one of the Death Knight community.
Atris. Is it Atris or Acarus? I think it's Atris.
Atris?
I think it's Atris.
In game, it's Atris.
I think so.
It's Arcturus.
Is it Acarus?
Give me a hand here. Come on, it's Arcturus, right? Arcturus? Man, I have no idea. But if you're curious about why I and others are cynical about the feedback process, which of course I think can extend to this, here's a thread about private avenues of feedback that some theory crafters were/are offered, and why they haven't made an ounce of difference. And this is basically, and this stuff has been gone through before, and it's over a year old now, which is a bit of a spooky thing to think about because I remember when this thread first appeared. Just going through all of that, the feedback forum, just a lot of bullshit, a lot of r/I am very smart stuff going on, and just generally speaking, the theory crafting community didn't feel particularly happy. I think there was a new one of these that had been in existence, and I'd heard some rumbly things about it from a number of theory crafters as well. Certainly there's a willingness from the people on these private forums to sort of leak, basically, which, is just a signal of dissatisfaction. And if actually, I can get that screenshot I mentioned earlier. Yes, here it is, Exhibit 2. Part of why I'm skeptical is the mythic raiding theorycraft community is, to a first-order approximation, a huge social engine whose raison d'être,
Raison d'être.
whose Stella Artois.
Yeah. Raison d'être.
Oh man, yeah. So it's specifically to decide/enforce that everyone in that community uses the same talents.
Yeah.
Number one, that's a complete mischaracterization. of
also,
that.
Yeah, it's not true.
It's not true. It exists to find the most optimal thing there, so that people can have a higher chance of getting past the very hard content they're trying to get past. So decide/enforce. They don't decide what everyone uses. They find which of the things you've developed is optimal, and then they heavily suggest people use that because they all have the same goal of clearing the damn content. So, that's a wild statement. I don't think we could do anything with talent design that would easily change that there are entire discords and websites that employ people full-time, all based on the concept of telling people what talents are best and spreading the social norm they shouldn't use the other ones. Now, that's also a fucking insane and extremely stupid. I can't believe being stupid enough to actually think this, because what's implicit in this, they couldn't do anything with talent design that would change that there are. So this is very much framing it as the problem being the discords and the websites. And there's quite a lot of that thinking going on over there from what I've heard, right? So it's like, that's not the problem.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if Riot Games spent all of their, design time in, if the thought internally was like, oh, what are they called? Is it Pro Guides? We used to watch them whenever we played LoL.
The LoL one? Pro Guides, yeah. Pro Guides.
Yeah, people say, oh, those Pro Guides. There's nothing we could... there's one thing you could do with talent design to make sure there are discords and there are no discords and websites, and that's just design them so badly everyone quits. So actually, maybe if Shards of Domination is the way, then you found it. But you know what I mean, right? Like, and the thing is, you can immediately see the reasonable version of this, which is like, yeah, a new part of modern game development is that there is a massive apparatus out there that's going to find out what's best. And how are we going to, as designers, get around this problem? Because it does mean that we have to be a lot more sharp in our designs and blah, 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 all the things that... Because what is being talked about by the individual who made this post is undoubtedly something they have got to grapple with and contend with. It's just that the specific wording and framing of this, it lets a few things slip.
Yeah.
It kind of lets you know what's really going on in the head.
Yeah, it's that beautiful thing, especially from someone who communicates like this. They're going to very carefully select their language to be correct or to get across what they mean. But I feel like it also implies a substantial amount of lacking of reading between the lines of what else they're actually saying. Because that communicates so much more than it communicates by nature of us understanding the tone in which it was written and the whole thought process behind it. Because that's the idea of, okay, well, because this thing exists, we can't try to do anything to escape that orbit. When you're the developer of the game, you can do whatever the hell you want, and people will have to react based off that. Now, you'll want to do what players want, obviously, but like, it's such a cop-out. It reads like an excuse as opposed to a reason. Also, I also don't know if it's entirely believed across the organization of Blizzard that that's true, because if you truly believe that, why do they continue to have a load of unbalanced talents all the time? Why do they seem to try, but not try hard enough, and they kind of go, well, we can just do the easy thing and then complain about it, saying, it's Discords. There's no point balancing, because if we balance it, they'll just find the best one. Why offer choice? So why offer players choice, but you still offer players choice somewhat? I don't follow the logic the whole way through, so it just comes across like a statement of kind of, I'm going to defend my own preconception and fuck off.
Yeah, and just for some clarity, this is beta. This is Shadowlands beta. Right? Because, in case you were wondering the tone of the private forums, what it's like these days, here's what someone with current access to them just DM'd me. No. So this is like Shadowlands era, these two posts. Generally true that explaining thing is good, but also want to point out the biggest way the changes are previewed is the existence of the beta. The water change has been in since before alpha, and the fact that all Mythic Plus testing has been done with it in place is a more valuable type of feedback than back and forth over a patch note. This is sort of true over everything. Now, developer who said this. Wrong. Wrong. If we are grading this paper, It is a fail. It is a fail. And the reason why is that beta testing is very limited. It's very different. So if you are going to be, and that's one of the funny things when we were in our startup incubator, they're, I guess, sort of business buddies of ours. They're a games testing company. And I've actually done 1 or 2 tests on their platform. It's a pretty neat thing, actually. But yeah, anyway, so interesting learning a lot about the testing process and the feedback process from those guys. But the thing with this is people don't play beta like they play live. They're not looking for the same things. Their behavior, their perception of things is not the same. Feedback based on something in principle, that tells you how people are going to react to how they think and feel about the thing you've done. That's pretty damn important. And it's pretty damn important for user acquisition as well. How is somebody going to, out of hand, an average player, how are they going to react to the thing that you've done before they played it? Because when people see a new set of patch notes or a new change or a new something, that's how it's going to be. And this is just a consistent thing. But I would keep on saying, oh, stuff wasn't picked up in beta. And it's like, are you expecting people to play beta like they play live and therefore pick up on those UX issues? Especially when beta communications aren't that good, such that people don't really know what's intended a bunch of the time on beta. And, it's just all that stuff, which, so, here's the thing. See if these are the sorts of posts that come from the community council. Whew, it'll be fun. It'll be top banter.
Yeah, I honestly can't wait. It'll just give us a load of content every week. Honestly. Like, all right, let's destroy the logic of a Blizzard developer who will likely be anonymous in that case.
Well,
Let's
certainly
just
we
take
would
it down.
anonymize it. Well, we
Yeah.
kind of couldn't because people could just text search it, but from what we can in a video.
Yeah, it's that kind of case where if this is the point of having a dialogue. This is the part of dialogue where if they want to have open and honest communication with the community, they need to be ready for the community to actually communicate.
They do.
Basically, they need to put on their adult pants and go about their day like adults.
Yeah, and I wonder what it's like because there's pros and cons to everything.
Of course.
We do live in a society, Northern Ireland, where all of our humor is self-deprecating. We are, I don't want to say like we're not collectivist or anything, but we're quite far away from the the default over in the States where it's very much, super individuality, super, how you feel is the most important thing, all of that. Yeah. We're just like, it's super ingrained to us that like, no, that's not how you do it.
Not at all.
And there's a lot of downsides. I mean, there's probably, I imagine we have less company creation and things like that. Yeah, I even remember when we were in the startup accelerator we were in, some of the jokes were like, you've got to stop being Northern Irish and start acting like an American because at least they know how to sell themselves.
Yeah.
Which, that's like legit stuff that people have said. Because, it's quite funny actually, because sometimes and we've had this happen a few times, where we have a very self-deprecating, basically, we have had, and I think, over for the Brits as well, they've also had this doomer humor.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we think of doomer humor as like an internet thing from 4chan, but at least in this neck of the woods, I think we've always had doomer humor. Yeah. So there's times where if we do doomer humor, and this has happened like, 1 or 2 times, where, somebody's came over, they maybe hear you and me crack a joke, and then we look at them, and in their face, they're genuinely concerned that we might have actually meant what we said.
Yeah.
Which to us is the most preposterous funny thing in the universe. Yeah. But, I just wonder if there's like a bit of just like almost a cultural thing.
Yeah, for
where,
sure.
The whole taking personal offense to something and all of that is just more, I don't know, possible within the way that they do things. Because certainly it seems like I don't know, it just seems like they're in some sort of, like a bit of a bubble over there. Like some of the things they've been doing lately are getting like widely ridiculed by, I mean, Someone says Aussie humor is similar. Yeah, I actually know plenty of people over here that really like Aussie humor, me included, by the way.
Yeah.
So, maybe, yeah. But yeah, I don't know what it is anyway, but there does seem to be like almost like a little culture bubble there. They're just kind of all in over there.
Yeah, it's really hard to explain. I personally always believe that as there's something about the American culture, or some parts of American culture, especially more in modern areas, in sort of modern areas, we're all in the same time zone. Anyway, in more modern ideas is like the inability to separate yourself from what's been said and what's been thought. So it's like I could call someone an asshole and mean nothing by it, but if I call an American an asshole, they'll likely, not all Americans, of course, but certain parts of the country are likely to not be able to understand that what I say doesn't actually mean anything. And
maybe a different
like,
relationship with sincerity.
Yeah, that might be the probably the cleanest way to put it, but it is certainly something that I found very interesting that affects specific parts of game development as well, quite a lot. Where it's just what I say is not. I either don't mean it, or I mean it somewhere in the realm of 10 to 50% of what I said.
Yeah.
But that's just because we say so many things that don't mean anything. Which is, actually literally in terms of word count also true. Because me and Nikki have actually been watching like old videos of like interviews and stuff from around Ballymena. For some reason, just Fairhill stuff with Sandy and Fairhill. And just the amount of, that's how it is, that's her, Grant. You know what it's like, so it is. And just a load of things that mean nothing. Just literally nothing.
Oh, so much of our...
Yeah.
So, like, the percentage of words said over here that actually mean something is tiny.
Yeah.
I love it. You can have these, like, default conversations that go on for, like, 20 minutes. Not a fucking thing happens.
Yeah. Just... Aye, well, sure, now you know how she's cutting. That wouldn't be too... He wouldn't be too long of it now, not at all. Stuff like that, great.
It does make it very easy to autopilot through an awkward situation, though. It's great.
Yeah, load of waffle, hi, yep, exactly.
That's it.
So I don't know. Maybe there's some relationship there, or maybe I'm just fucking rambling, but I think there might be some form of relationship in how we just like a deep fundamental thing of communication and how we orient thoughts and how we orient words that is completely lost because we don't know how to communicate that difference. And then there's like a big cultural difference that doesn't really actually get together.
I think that's why the whole thing of, international communications is like really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there's loads of ways of talking and mannerisms and stuff that, like, if we just did what we do, but in Japan, it would be, pretty offensive and not a done thing. It's like there's things where, because over here, we can tend to be pretty rough on the States sometimes, but there's also like because somebody comes from the States here, then there's the default thought of, oh yep, they're going to be very loud, they're going to talk about themselves all the time, and that's just how it's going to be. But then it's like, well, actually no, and what their normal is, if you're not like that, people are like, oh, there's a bit quiet and weird, and that never has anything to talk about, must be really lame. And also that thing of where I think over here we generally talk to people, especially like new people, by kind of asking more directly about them and seeing what's up. Whereas I think sometimes the expectation in different parts of the world is everyone talks about themselves and then they find an opening of common ground. And then that's when it kind of launches into a conversation. But like if someone who's used to that comes over to here, then we'll be like, all that person does is talk about themselves. Self-absorbed dickhead.
Yeah.
So, there's just a bunch to think about there with international communications, which I think is, and it's because it's not just like, this is like that's a very real world version of it. People asking about the channel's demos, it's like 40% US, 40% EU maybe.
Yes.
I don't mean EU politically, I mean just broadly Europe. But there's other bits of that too, because a Californian talking to a New Yorker, because I hear people from America say things about, oh, those Californians are always like this, or oh, those New Yorkers are always like this. And then, Redditors versus Channers versus Pinteresters versus Tumblr people versus Twitter people. We all kind of like live in these different cultures with different norms of communication. And that just makes it really, really challenging. Because, I mean, if a Channer talks to a Tumblr? Yes, a Tumblr person. There's going to be issues. Now, in fairness, most of that's probably just going to be the 4chaners running rings around them for a joke.
Absolutely.
But as has been well documented in many cases. But those are just some thoughts, I suppose, on, like, I know this is like almost way out of scope of this, but I wonder if there is something to think about with all of this and how we think about how we perceive other people's communications. Because if anything, this whole situation really means that communication is quite important. It seems like there is communication issues from players to devs, also from devs to players. Probably also from devs to their own damn management, because the company seems like it can be a bit of a hellscape sometimes. And then with all of the communities as well, and that probably just means people take things weirdly. But it's not like we want the international standard of communication, because then all the richness of all the different cultures and communities would go away. So I don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, I think it's just a thing of try to understand what people are saying and where people are coming from. It kind of boils down to a little bit of the internet saps all empathy you have directly out of your body and fires it into a pit. At least it feels that way. So it's having that for how people communicate. Where even when it comes to the case of like, it's a lot about the like toxicity online and stuff. Where if someone's being brisk and sharp, it likely means that they're frustrated or annoyed, as opposed to, hit you directly.
Yeah.
So, God, my throat. If someone's going to say, "You shitty dev, fix your busted shit game," that's likely because they've been frustrated for 6 months, but they've not communicated it, and now they're all kind of exploding at once.
Yeah, it's all just kind of...
Yeah, in which case you don't go, "Oh, well, I'm under attack from this person who's very angry." It is a post online, so you just go, "Well, can I mentally correct for that? Can I throw that through my like communication parsing engine, understand the context, and in context understand what it actually is, and then think about it in a way that's detached from me as a person, and more as, okay, what is this? Almost like translating, internet stuff into human speak. What would this person say to me if they were in the room beside me? And it likely isn't, "Fuck you, fix your game." It's likely, "Oh, hey, well, this is the problem that I've been experiencing for a while." So you kind of have to imagine it's that way, which all, boils down to, we should all understand each other. All just go watch the Care Bears. There you go. Problem solved.
That's it.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Dammit Albert said a while ago, this is somehow a World of Warcraft podcast.
Somehow, yeah.
Somehow. God knows how we got here.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like, I think it's interesting because sometimes, bubbles correlate with regions, and I suppose whenever people dunk in California, that's kind of what they mean. Obviously, there's other thing. California is a fucking massive, massive state.
Yeah,
so that doesn't actually work like that.
Yeah.
But, I imagine it's like maybe if you get a whole bunch of people who all work in the same sector in a very similar geographic location, then, maybe there could be, there could be a little bit of bubble-like behavior going on. And then it's like, well, the people in the bubble, I mean... they're banded together, and they're not banded together out of some like, I am going to be in the bubble with my fellow bubbleiers. Woo!
Yeah.
No, it's like that's just naturally how it is, and then they're going to feel like they're being, sort of attacked from the outside. So I mean, I don't really know how to deal with it, but there is just that feeling of there's like a little bit of a bubble in two fronts. There's a little bit of a dev bubble, and then maybe some sort of cultural bubble. Because I mean, people who I would consider to be very reasonable. Like, even like Sloot. Yeah. They're, just kind of roasting, a little bit roasting Blizz on the, the fruit.
Yes.
And, maybe the difference between how FF14 approaches human sexuality and how WoW approaches human sexuality, And it's like, it just seems like there's a whole bunch of people who are outside of that current bubble that a lot of the devs are in who have a very, very different perspective on how things are. And maybe the devs are, as compared to the majority of their players, just in a little bit of a subsection of the Venn diagram. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is all to say communication is really bloody hard. And now that we're going into some sort of community council, it makes it all kind of hard, I suppose, to work out, to puzzle through.
Yep, until I feel like the community community relations or interaction with the World of Warcraft team and the World of Warcraft community won't ever work until these kind of core problems are kind of worked through a little bit And I think that kind of is down on everyone who's personally engaging with it more
Yeah.
than anything else. There's nothing you can systematically do, because if they've tried the private communications and then this time they're going public with them, then something's not working. So it's like, why are you trying the same thing, expecting a different result? Obviously, this one's slightly different.
Oh,
But
I've
you
just
might
found
have to examine something.
Oh, I've just had the worst startup idea ever, Matt.
Go for it.
Oh no, it's going to use
for it.
GPT-3 sentiment analysis. So it's going to take say these two posts we've talked about, these two posts from a dev in Shadowlands beta. It would take that and it would crunch it through and it would just say, this person feels under attack and that things are unfair against them. And all it would do is whenever you go to reply, it would do a sentiment analysis of roughly where the person above is as a quick little one-line way of explaining why their post came out like that, as a way to harness the power of artificial intelligence to improve communications, increase empathy, and make the world a better place. And there you go. Time to head to Silicon Valley.
You know,
But that is just like a little bit of a thought, because I think
Yeah.
there's a little atom in there that's useful.
yeah, I mean, that's a really good idea. But I actually have some vague personal experience with this, and this is because of Grammarly. Because you know the way Grammarly
Whoa.
does analysis on what you're typing?
Yeah.
I will never use that to change things. Like, I'll never look at it and go, what am I going to do? Well, is this right? I go in going, I know what I'm trying to sound like, and then I check if I'm right. I never use it as the other way around. I kind of go,
interesting.
this confirms, like, I'm coming across in my text as, this kind of friendly, confident kind of thing. Or, if it's, if I'm trying to communicate with a different vibe, look for something a bit more aggressive or something like that. But I kind of get the point where that sentiment analysis is very important. Just, I would despise a world where we outsource sentiment analysis as opposed to actually having the, I guess, context translator in our brains.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But I think then what's really interesting is all of modern technology is just trying to shortcut anything. It's trying to shortcut anything positive that can go on up here in order to get some sort of desirable engagement result.
Of course, yeah.
So,
Jesus.
Maybe we actually do need the fucking AI to come in and be like, look, OP seemed like a bit of a dick, but GPT-3 suggests it's for this reason.
Yeah.
Now you can reply. Oh god, it's almost like an empathy version of Twitter's. Did you read this article?
It's like, you look like you're about to get into a Twitter fight, but across all forums all over the place. Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea, actually. Now I think about it.
Yeah, or just teach people empathy. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. Teaching people empathy is like good, but empathy's not particularly useful to the bottom line of big tech. Well, no, the bottom line of big tech is actually this. It is empathy. It's basically hijacking your empathy with narrative. And then what happens is that your empathy towards like other humans has been replaced by that. So you're just this kind of like, oh, great. The weight of the world is now on my shoulders so that I can watch more advertisements.
Yeah.
That's what my empathy's turned into.
That's it.
Big talk. Fucking yummy.
Yeah. Has anyone just read any dystopic fiction, or do you just read the news now instead?
Yeah. So anyway, all that came from Magdalena.
Yeah.
Thanks for your tweet. Oh dear. There was some more stuff. There was actually more from PvPers as well. Mandel. I mentioned that because Josh, I think, was involved with the Torghast thing. I think the Torghast thing still isn't really where people would want it to be, and But at the same time, I know that Josh is listening to people. I also know that exactly what we would have wanted to happen there didn't happen, but it didn't seem like the sort of thing he would be against happening, so I have to wonder if there is a reason why.
Yeah, I very much firmly believe that there's production things going on there that stop everything that would be nice being solved from being solved. Or maybe some wider, like, everything you do has to be attached to daily engagement or weekly engagement, possibly as a kind of thing, but that's kind of a little bit conspiratorial in my head, which may or may not be true. Who knows? And then, Dakor's certainly...
Oh, look who it is.
Dakor's thrown in. someone to compare to.
That's it. Yep. So, if the dev team is the government, then the citizens are players. Clarity, vision, and willingness to listen.
Yeah.
Please.
No
please,
comment.
Please. What?
No comment.
Multiple betas. Multiple betas.
Yep.
Mike told you. He could have saved you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Learn to listen and adapt. A complaint is worth twice a compliment. No. Blame the discords. Creators must be players in their own realms. Leaders don't live there. Why would their subjects? Yep. Certainly spicy things I could say there, but instead of doing that, I'm going to scroll through the document. So, yeah, you know, what have they learned? Never forget the fans. Fun comes first. No. Meaningful choice. Not as defined by things you want to do, but as defined by friction you must soldier through. That comes first. Never back down, always aim to amaze. Don't forget your roots. It is what fans crave. And actually, on that, there was a good point from the Ian interview where Ian was just kind of like, hey, we still know Azeroth's important, guys. I'm like, good man, Ian. I know. We like that place. 3 steps to failure. An unhealthy obsession with graphic quality. Worth noting here, this is in the context of FF14, where they made FF14 Legacy. Because I wonder, FF14 Legacy Maxed might actually look better than current FF14.
Technically speaking, definitely.
Yeah, because it was made in Crystal Tools, which was the Final Fantasy 13 engine. It had some cool things. If you look at some of the footage from FF14 Legacy, less loading screens.
Yep.
You know, Ul'dah, I believe it's inside and outside Ul'dah. You just run through the door and away. You're there.
Yeah.
No load screen, no nothing. But that led them astray in many ways. So this is a very FF14. I mean, it is important, but also it's specific to their story. A surprising lack of MMORPG knowledge amongst development team members.
Oh,
Again,
wrecked the FF14 team.
Wrecked them. I would also say a surprising focus on ARPG knowledge amongst development team members is what I would put in there, because I'd more just be like, hello, Diablo was a different gameplay loop, please. Funny enough, the new Diablo season basically has Shards of Domination in it.
Oh my god.
But who knows? Maybe it'll be fun there, because
Maybe,
Diablo and Warcraft are different games. The mindset that the solution to every problem could be patched in a future update. What's that about the final patch of a World of Warcraft expansion sort of fixing things and making them good? What's that about patch 9.1.5 effectively being the end of Shadowlands beta? What?
Yeah.
What? What's going on? And most importantly, Red Bull and cigarettes.
That's the play.
That's the key to success.
Jesus Christ.
Per Mr. Yoshida.
Yep.
His big sleep. But yes, what can other titles do that yours cannot? Do you have enough content? Is there anything lacking in the UI? Again, the UI of FF14 Legacy. Whoa.
Yeah, I mean...
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, considering he's saying that at the time, that was 2014, I think that was. So that would have been ARR 2.0, which certainly still had massive problems with the UI. I think that's just kind of a little bit of a... what's the term I'm looking for? A little bit of PTSD from them having to solve UI problems, because it was like the UI ended up being such a resource hog in 1.0 that it was causing a lot of performance problems by itself.
Yeah, basically it was all just like scripted in by I think like by gameplay people, because the engineers were off working on was it Crystal Tools or was it Luminous? Whatever their big, company initiative was. Innovation begins with proper planning and design. And I would again bring up what we had talked about. With Shadowbringers 5.3 having its full implementation plan being done before Shadowbringers came out, versus the Warcraft thing, where we actually have interviews from Blizz devs talking about how patch 9.1 and its core narrative, even parts of its core narrative beats, only came into shape towards the end of 2020/start of 2021. Which is just completely different to how they do things in FF land. I would imagine with FF, historically, they had less resources than Blizz. Therefore, they had to, allocate those perfectly. Therefore, they probably had to be they couldn't just throw loads of people into loads of wacky plans and hope it comes into a patch. So there's that, right? preach in Ian's video interview. Do none of these devs play RPGs?
Yeah, Dakar went to the length of transcribing a lot of this. So
Did he?
no, yeah, a lot of the important part anyway, not the whole interview.
Oh, so it's down here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, holy shit. Is this going to be like our DMs, but I suppose actually this sort of is a bit like our DMs, but an hour-long video.
Yep.
Yeah, I found this to be a very enjoyable listen, and I think other people did too. And I do wonder, just broadly speaking, like, are they surprised over there in Irvine at like kind of just how much the average Joe outside of Twitter kind of dislikes them? I mean, I see a lot more love for them on Twitter and in certain parts of YouTube, but I've just found it notable how much of the goodwill seems to be gone. And so no, like Mike went to great lengths. But so for a few things, because I mean, Dakor has transcribed Mike's stream partially, so it would be a bit mean if we didn't go through it.
Yep.
GamesBeat. There's a lot of quality of life improvements coming to 9.1.5. A lot of people are excited about those things, but a lot of people have expressed some frustration they didn't happen sooner. Do you think there's something in the feedback loop Blizzard can improve? And I also say props to GamesBeat for asking like questions where, I mean, you just kind of knew the GamesBeat person knew what was going on with Warcraft at like a generic interview.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. Let's see.
So what Ian said was, so what we hear from people who are trying to do high-end raiding and push a lot with keystones, having to choose one covenant and not being able to use the two freely for those systems was frustrating. We understood that. It wasn't surprising to us. This is the bit where I turn around and say, so motherfucker, you knew it was shit and it was going to be very annoying for loads of people, and you then decided to do it anyway. Because here is something I think is very important. Very, very important. The ability to do risk management. And while Ian was not an actuary, he's a lawyer, right? I think it was white-collar criminal defense, if I believe correctly. But either way, in that sort of field, I mean, you're going to be sharp on risk, how you think about risk. What I'd say is you want to think about how are your upside, basically your upside and your downside. What's capped, what is uncapped. So there's sort of situations like this where, you know, how do you think through these issues? You know that for your most dedicated sticky players, it's a definite downside. You don't know how much of an upside. So you know that it's a downside for them. It will never be an upside for them. You then have a bunch of people where you think it might be an upside, but you basically don't know. And even for them, there are a bunch of potential other downsides as well. Like from a basic risk management perspective, you know, sometimes you have the design in your head, but what's really important is to have it in your head and take it out of your head, change what angle you're looking at it from, and actually do a risk assessment on it. And I'm not saying that in some sort of weird design a game via spreadsheet, but you should be able to think about a decision and understand, you know, like, just understand the risk profile of it, I suppose. And that's what's always been crazy to me, is they make so many crazy risky bets where I'm like, all right, this is your fucking Schlieffen plan. And if this works out perfectly, then yes, this is a plan for victory. But it turns out you don't want a plan for victory, because that's not how war works.
Or anything, really.
Research the Schlieffen plan and the World Wars, please. But, you know, they keep on, you know, doing those, having those great big plans for victory where it's like, I've mind expansion memed and this will work perfectly. But it's like, it doesn't. It doesn't. So how about you go with something that is less risky, more of a surefire bet, with more known knowns, less unknowns. You know, think about what are your known knowns, it's dealing with your unknowns. So there's your sort of your known unknowns, which is the stuff you don't know, but you kind of, you know to look in that area. But also there's your unknown unknowns, which is just like the fucking crazy shit that can go on. And sometimes just the more crazy and, you know, just out there and so many moving pieces one of your designs is, then the more unknown unknowns you're going to have. And you're really going to, you're just going to struggle to see things coming. That's sort of happened. So we knew that if this was your orientation for the game, if you're a min-max player, you're always going to want to be optimal. But as we articulated I mean, is it articulation? Is it mental gym?
Yep.
Spending time in the mental gymnasium. But as we articulated, the goal of design was that was the core RPG choice. That feeling of a weighty decision of picking this path versus that path and having a different story you experienced versus what your friends experienced was going to provide a better gameplay experience, a better experience for the majority of players. But that choice never mattered to the narrative. It mattered to your access to content and your access to player power, but narratively, it made no fucking sense. I mean, the thing that Preach fucking exploded at was thanks, did you just restore the seat of the Primus, give us the big fucking sword and help us? Oh, don't you fucking come in here. You fucking Night Fae. Fucking beat your head in. Yeah. They're like, okay there, Necro Lords. Bloody hell, I just traipsed around your horrible green place helping you, and this is how you treat me? So you know what? Let's just go to Mike's limit break because it's more fucking entertaining than any way I'm going to be putting this. Please play RPGs in the WoW team. I beg of you, because it's not this. Here's the core thing. When the WoW team, I think this now. When the World of Warcraft dev team thinks about an RPG, they're not thinking about Baldur's Gate 3. I don't think they're thinking about, Pillars of Eternity or even a Mass Effect or whatever. I don't think they're thinking about that. I think they're thinking about Path of Exile. I think they're thinking about Destiny. I think they are thinking about a different type of RPG. The ARPG. First of all, RPGs have barely ever worked like that. They really don't. Play one. I know you have. Play one, they don't work that way. And in the last 5 years, they've moved even further away from that to the point where they let you play whatever the fuck you want all the fucking time with no fucking respec costs at all. Do you know why? Because it's really fun. It's really fun to be like, I wonder if that's good. And the dev going, I'll go let the player try that out for 20 minutes and he might not like it, so you can swap back really quickly because it's fine. I just want to check it out. I just want to enjoy myself. That's all. I just want to fucking play it.
Brutal, like.
Yeah. It's so bizarre the way that they framed that choice.
Yeah.
I mean, there's sometimes you'll make a level in a game and depending what you do, you'll get a different permutation of that level. Yeah. But imagine going to an RPG and, you have your first leg of your story and then you make your choice and then you get 104 tiny stories and that's game over. It's not RPG. I mean, it could be, but maybe not. It's not like this, and also this tying in of the mechanics to that's the other friggin' side of this. But yes, no RPGs have worked like that since fucking point and click adventure stories back in the day. There's been a couple of Star Wars or whatever, but they gave you 6 or 7 different characters that you could that you could also play. And you can respec them in any way you wanted. So if your main character was scuffed fucking Mackenzie, you could go just play the other characters at the same time, and it's fine. The Covenant thing was not about min-maxers. Sure, it was for some guys, but you know what the min-maxers did? Do you know what they did? They just said, I'll fucking make 4 characters.
And they did too.
Yes.
They did.
Do you know what it was really about? Was you, after years and years and years, gave us every single class 4 brand new fucking spells to play with. We haven't had a talent row since I don't know when, since I had no hair. I haven't seen a talent row since then. So you gave us 4 brand new spells and you said you can only use 1. And that's the fucking thing. I'm sure that Flayed Shot or whatever the hell it's called would have been fun to use in my Hunter.
Yeah.
Well, tough shit. How many hunters fucking used that? We all used Wild Spirits or Resonating Arrow. Why did you do that? Why did you design it like this? And it's just all of these things where it's like, this is... Yeah, Covenants were just a bafflingly designed system, and from what I understand, Covenants were a very top-down system where it was a situation of, hey team, here's the thing we're doing for the next expansion. There is no room for feedback. We're doing it. Bye.
Very much a
That has been... Multiple people I know have heard that from people they know, and I've heard that from people that I know.
Yeah.
That this was all pretty fucking top-down.
It's very much an extremely no negativity in the dojo sort of situation where like, okay,
Yeah.
I have loads of feedback for the system. Where can it go? And whoever made the decision or whoever's collecting feedback from the
Yes.
team went, Shredder's in that corner.
And, negativity can include things such as, please, sir, stop touching my breasts. Please, sir, don't give me a back rub. Because the person who said no negativity in the dojo was Alex Afra fucking Sabi.
Yep.
I didn't know this. I thought no negativity in the dojo was some sort of like community joke or came from 4chan or something. I didn't know that it was a quote from Alex in an interview.
Yeah.
So, we all know what Alex ended up, the things he ended up doing.
Yeah.
Fucking wild, isn't it? But, again, right? Like, maybe we do need some negativity in the dojo because the dojo's producing bad martial artists
Yeah.
or something. You're sitting there trying to train in your martial arts and you have a shitty form and you do it all wrong, or like, there's no negativity in this dojo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, yeah, that's it. No correcting someone's form in the gym.
That's what it is, yeah.
Just let them all get fucking injured.
Yeah. What's that? You want to use all of your momentum doing pull-ups and destroy your arms? Go for it. Work away. No problem. No problem.
Yeah. Oh man. So yes, right, back to Mike.
Yeah.
It's the most... Oh yeah, he's talking about getting new spells. It's the most exciting part of any fucking expansion. With new talent row and new class spells come in, I want to try them out, and you said we can only play one. That's not min-maxing. That's just, I want to have some fun. Here's the thing. The WoW team they have no idea about fun.
They genuinely don't know what it is.
They think of Sid Meier and, the game is about, interesting questions, interesting solutions, interesting problems, interesting decision making. It's like, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And also fun. It also has to be fun. And I think their way of, they added meaning with friction.
Yeah.
You want to add, you add meaning with meaning.
But that's so hard
And
to do.
there could be narrative meaning, there could be friction in that meaning if the narrative supports it. And if the overall game design is really well built around that. But in this case, it wasn't. Which is why it just felt so basically broken from a design perspective.
Yeah.
So to move on to some of others of Mike's mumblings. Trying to get a nice alliteration going. Anyway. And then you said...
Oh, sorry.
And then you said, but some of them blatantly don't work in various different parts of the game. They don't even work if you respec. You took Enhancement Shaman, and you were like, well, here's your one spell. Everything else is for fucking Ellie or Resto. Then some Tommy Two Fingers is like, well, I like to play both. And you go, well, fuck you, because it's important to us that you can't play what you want to play. Isn't this fun? Isn't this meaty? Isn't this enjoyable for you? Oh, we'll fix it later. Yeah. And yeah. And it's so funny. They have completely... the whole fix it later is just the funniest fucking shit. Where it's like, so you're saying that now you can play patch 9.1.5, just that it's way better, just that the currency is uncapped, just that, blah, 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 so that you don't have to spend your entire life looking at the map in Korthia. Should I bother playing patch 9.2? How about we, in the guild, come up with a fucking mutual agreement that we all pretend that patch 9.2 doesn't exist until patch 9.2.5 comes out, at which point in time we can jump in and we can have, the well-conceived or better-conceived version of it. And, you shouldn't be teaching your players that. Now, I'm all for shipping fixes, and I know that could come off like, so they ship fixes and now you're blasting them for it? I think it's more that they, at this stage, you shouldn't need those fixes because we've thematically had the same problems again and again and again.
Yep. And there's a difference between fixes and redesigns that are the way the game should probably have been in the first place. I will say there's a caveat on that when you're looking at the Valor caps being removed and stuff, because obviously Valor caps make sense for their goals of gearing and stuff.
Yeah.
At the beginning, but it's certainly interesting that they're very happy to run with the no, this is the good version of the game now. Or like, well, have you ever thought about it in that term, using those words? Or are you just going, well, here's the content? Are you just basically just going, content out the door, shit, quick, get it going. Oh, we'll get fixed that shit, yeah, we'll fire them at the end of the queue, we'll get them done eventually. That's what I kind of, to cut them some slack, that's what it feels like to me, more than anything else, but oh boy.
Yeah, but maybe it turns out we're in Bobby's maze, but they're in Bobby's labyrinth fighting the friggin' Minotaur.
Yeah.
Minotaur?
Minotaur?
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. So, yeah, he says it was never min-maxing. Never. You just said we weren't allowed to play with new toys. You gave us a Lego shop and said we're only allowed to play with one bit. And if you want to play with the other bit, come back tomorrow. Do something different. God damn it. Get some more of that team to play some modern RPGs for the love of God. I beg of you. Because it's about story choice. All RPGs are like that now, and they have been for like 10 fucking years. They're all like that. Go and play some. For the love of Christ, just play some. I beg you. RPGs that fuck the player over are not fun. As scummy and simpy as it sounds, just listen to Yogi P for 5 minutes. We don't need to play World of Warcraft every fucking day. If Sir Bobby is telling you you need to have everyone logged in every day, go tell him to go fuck himself. Yeah? Yeah, and, something I have came to the understanding that much like, we had this, sort of these statements here, one of the things I've come to an understanding on is that how they view metrics does fall into a lot of the pitfalls that we've understood. As in, you see the numbers, and what gets measured gets managed. And all of the negatives that, come with that flow forth. Some other things. Cross-faction rating. GamesBeat. Talking about community requests and maybe stubbornness. Is something like cross-faction rating a bit more in the radar? Ian says, it is a bit more in the radar. If Jane and Thrall are working alongside each other in the raid, why can't the Alliance and the Horde? Preach. Oh god, how low are the sub numbers? Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's grim. That's really fucking grim. Oh, that's really upsetting. I'm not even joking. That's really fucking sad. Are we there? Has it happened? That makes me really fucking sad.
Yeah,
which is kind of funny. You know what? I've been pro-faction divide and pro-faction war for quite a while, actually. I think that's always just been a unique and good thing about Warcraft. But I do think that pragmatically some cross-faction raiding is probably a decent play. It's just, I do worry that, like, narratively, if there was no Horde and Alliance, or, if it's just two factions, but, they're all happy tree friends, then... that could take something out of the story, and that could limit what they can do in the setting to kind of just be, big extrinsic threat come. So I wonder. So anyway, that's Preach's response to the interview. Do we have the rest of the interview here for ourselves? And just in case we wanted to talk about the passing of the buck.
I actually don't know. Expand that. Well, let's find out. No.
Wahoo. But I think we do have the venture bait.
That we do.
Now, I will say, look, honestly, and I know this is probably a little bit unprofessional, because everybody...
Oh my god.
Oh, don't worry, I'm not going to say something bad.
Yeah, oh my god, these ads.
So everybody, basically see all of the stuff about Blizzard's ongoing issues and what they're doing internally. I honestly, I skim read it, and I went to the game bit, and I used the game bit for my video. So I don't give a shit about all that stuff. It's just... we cover it on a very regular basis on our news channel, and frankly, I didn't think there was anything super useful to say. And honestly, I think too, when it comes to bowls of fruit, keck W, I'm just so tired of that. I want to talk and focus a little bit more about the game side of things.
Of course.
But yeah, the one bit we wanted to talk about actually just. Founders. There we go.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Founders, as I have typed.
Yeah, I will be very slightly distracted for a little bit because I'm working on some interesting news for later on that sort of just broke. So,
Oh God, what's he doing?
It's not about this game. It's about a different game. But there's some numbers have been released, so I'm going to prepare some documents.
Is it for Penultimate Dream? Is it for
It's a Lucky Banjo update.
Lucky Banjo?
Yeah, the guy who does the census for FF servers.
Shit!
So there's a new update, so we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that later on. But I'm gonna prepare it here. So
okay, well,
if I'm quiet, that's why.
Matt is off performing some business. That's exciting. Yes, no. The bit I wanted to go to here is just this. This did rub a few of us the wrong way, unfortunately. So this is from Ian. But a lot of what goes into 9.1.5 isn't a one-off. It's a reflection of us changing a lot of the underlying philosophies that have motivated our approach to designing WoW. Now, this is a really good start. Thumbs up. A lot of these things, like I mentioned regarding conduit energy, are outgrowths of lessons that were taught to us by our predecessors. If you're telling me the people who made WoW great in the current day, in the current environment, are going to look at conduit energy and think that that suits the game that you've designed now, then fuck me sideways. What's going on? Because, just by the way, if you're talking about, holding true to all of these lessons you're learning from your past leaders, then why are you designing your game like Destiny 2? Because, square peg, round hole. That's what's going on here, right? Some of these things can maybe work in an action RPG, but you're trying to have it both ways. And you're having the whole, MMO with long-term player investment and ARPG that's seasonal, that's super fast, blah, 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 blah. And you're trying to mesh them together. And it's not ideal. And I don't like this bug passing. So these things are outgrowths of lessons that were taught to us by our predecessors. You don't just fucking download a mode of thinking into your brain. A good developer knows what is best for what they're doing now. They're going to know that old info is old info, that old practices are old practices. Old principles, are they still going to be relevant? Or do they need to be reinterpreted for the modern age, for the modern day? They probably do. They also don't say, these were taught to us by our predecessors and we just did them. No, you learn from your predecessors. And I would hope that if somebody learned those principles from their predecessors, that they would then apply them in a reasonable way that makes sense for the current game. So, as I said in the video we put up on the channel, I very much hope this is just how the words flopped out and not what they actually think. Because if they actually think this, then it's like, were you thinking for yourself for all of this time? And is that why you guys seem so stubborn? Because you basically weren't really thinking much? You were just kind of going on with this old knowledge? I mean, that's obviously a bit absurd. It's probably not, literally that, but you get what I mean. But yeah, things taught to them by our predecessors, by the founders and leaders of the team about the importance of meaningful choice, the importance of preserving character investment that may have led to us not being friendly to alt gameplay and people's ability to get caught up on their alts. And it's just like some of this stuff's just kind of insane, man. It's just kind of insane. Because character investment, it is really important. But you guys have continually degraded that yourselves. So what's going on there? Like, you're talking about basically, the importance of character investment has kind of held us back. Yet the game is the most speedy and fast food that it's ever been. Pretty much.
Yeah, that's really interesting to me because they talk about increasing catch-up in the same interview as well. I'm like, well, those are... I mean, obviously I understand catch-up as an idea.
Yeah, but it's
like, that's so anti what investment is in a way. In a way, it depends on
it is
what they focus for.
But like they're framing their old... Oh my god, these ads are like making the page move. This is horrible. But like they're framing it here like, their old thoughts and player investment were holding the game back. It's like, no, it's your ability to support player investment in the game that is the problem, not the principle of player investment. So as we then move through, the reality is the way that people play the game has evolved. More than just that, you've designed the game to be played differently. What was the right answer to the WoW player base and for the game 15 years ago may not be today. There's some stubbornness, but cling to those old lessons. Some things that are hard to let go in your training, your education as a designer and a developer on the team has led to those things being instilled in you. Well, I don't know. Maybe this is just an institutional problem with Blizzard. Maybe they've always been very hierarchical, but man, you don't want to learn. You don't want to have lemmings. You don't want to encourage groupthink in your organization. You want to red team your own ideas, etc., etc. So I guess those things just didn't really happen. And that's just led to a bunch of people that, maybe that's just why the stubbornness was there, and this stubbornness is what Ian's even admitted to. So there's just things like that are quite weird, and there are lots of things that it's here. It's like they're almost treating these as like new incredible revelations in how the game is made. But I mean, I would say, look at Mike's reaction to this, and it's just complete exasperation and like, do you guys not play games? What is going on? Blah blah blah. Yep. Now then, to continue, patch 9.1.5 is out. So there you go. You can enjoy new content such as and you can do that with the benefit of multiple quality of life fixes and accelerations to the pace of the game. And Walker's out in 2 weeks, by the way.
I'm really annoyed because I was thinking the entire time there, I was recently watching, what was it called? The Mating Game, the new David Attenborough series. And there's one about cicadas or cicadas. I can't remember how they're literally pronounced, cicadas. And I was just like, I really, really wish I could imitate the noise the same way one of the dudes in that show could, because that would have been perfect. That would have been absolutely perfect for that. But it's bad. It's bad that they've designed it this way. Like the sheer, because obviously they're not stupid, right? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people watching think they are, or would like to believe they are, but they can't be stupid. They've shown all of their releases have an intent for the time.
Oh, I actually think the problem is they're too smart for their own good. That it's that meme of like it's a bell curve of IQ, and there's like the
yep.
oh, was it the do and the I need to find it, but I think it's just speaking to how sometimes you can be too big brain about things, think yourself around in circles, and end up doing nothing.
Yeah, it's just that thing of they clearly are in a corner. The production realities have clearly put them straight into this corner that they can't get out of. Because there's no way you would decide, right, we're going to release 9.1.5 early in November and then give people no content for almost 5 weeks. That's not a decision you make without understanding what you're doing. So I would love to know what the hell was the alternative. Like, how did they sit in a room as a group of people and think this is the best choice? Like, what? I just don't understand. It's even the fact that they're, December 7th isn't just, it's December 7th. It's after Endwalker. Happy enough. It is 2 weeks after Endwalker's release, because the full release on the 23rd. Yeah. Which is when Pandemonium releases. So that's when, do you want to see the game you've been playing for 2 weeks? Do you want to continue playing that? You've paid your month sub, you've bought it. Do you want to continue doing that and do the raid content now that you've done the MSQ and you're level 80? Or do you want to come back to our game for our clear attempt at 2 week long FOMO during December 7th to December 21st? Possibly one of the busiest times of the year for most people, where they don't have the money to sub back to World of Warcraft, or they don't have the time to play it. Have they not considered the realities of their players? How bad was the alternative? How badly are they in the corner that this is a decision they make and they have to go, well, this is the best we can do. Sorry, everyone. How utterly grim must it be?
It's pretty rough. Yeah, it's pretty damn rough indeed. So, there's there's all that going on. Yeah. There's nothing interesting to talk about with 9.1. Or 0.5. We've already talked about it.
I mean, I think this is hateful. The only interesting thing to talk about is the Yorick problem.
There's the Yorick problem.
Yeah, which again doesn't work for them. Doesn't work for them in a way that actually helps them.
Because we have it in the doc.
I don't believe we do actually. But I can't remember what the full name is, but York was the rare in Korthia that you could just farm it, basically, as far as I understand. You could just farm it, and they massively increased the spawn time because people were getting through Korthia too quickly.
Yeah.
And you're like,
get absurd amounts of fragments.
And you're like, excuse me? So now that Korthia, which spent months being too slow, is now as fast as you wanted it to be, now people find a way to make it fast, and you go, no, that's not our design. Fuck you, player. I mean, I understand fixing bugs. I understand fixing problems. But
It's
where's
just-
where's the emotional intelligence in fixing the bugs? Where's the actual intelligence and the player experience in fixing problems like that?
There's something there
just
where
fun place like
it is, but it also was probably way too fast. So maybe it's one of those things where it's like, darn, your bugs got out. Now this is what it is. Okay, it's clearly way too much. I would maybe say do the bug fix, but also try to throw the players a bone somewhere.
yeah.
A tricky thing to do, but it's a sort of thing where a bit of noise that wasn't really needed in around patch launch.
Yeah.
I've been a few other.
Yeah, I mean the thing about the York thing as well, it's it feels like Preet said about bringing up UCP, said a bit scummy, a bit simpy, but blue mage tombstone farming is a thing in FF14 where blue mages have people have found a way to get the right selection of spells on blue mage to just nuke Coil's turn 2 for the event currency, and at least not since I've checked today, it hasn't been fixed, it hasn't been changed, and it's just players put a bit of effort in, learned a strategy to do something really fast. It's like 1 minute clear or sub 1 minute clear times versus the 5 minutes of clear time on like regular jobs. All right, there you go. Work away. You have won, players. Enjoy your victory. This is a limited scope victory, of course. This isn't game breaking in any sense.
Yeah.
But they're like, yeah, here you go. Work away. You're like, sweet, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Now speaking of letting people work away, there is the Conquest and Valor point or cap removal, where they've basically said that there is a obvious utility in capping those things at the start in order to pace gear progression so that people can't just know life and get way ahead of others. But that now we're long enough in the season where we're just removing the cap. So you just go get Valor to your heart's content.
Good. Well,
Which we will have to see what this does in the data. And for VP, this is also big because, as is pointed out there by Dak, you can kind of brick your character. You can really fuck yourself up. If you use your Valor points to upgrade early drop gear from a low keystone, like a low baseline level bit of gear, you're literally burning through a very limited resource. So something like this does actually make sense overall. Now there's a discussion to be had about what should be going on with the cap. I think some sort of cap is probably a reasonable thing to do. Just interesting that they've now changed it. But I guess that's just a lot of them thinking, shit, new content is really far away. What are we going to do? We will just open everything up as much as we can. Then, renown from the comp stomp is intended. So this is actually a positive. Don't know. It's the opposite of the fun place.
Yeah, the fun place stayed at home.
Good. It was game development. maybe that's just me being particularly mean. It's
Maybe.
probably a bit mean. But no, you can get renown from the comp stomp. Of course, the comp stomp can very much be stomped. You can win that thing really quickly and get renown. So, question, is there any indication of it's being removed? No. The chance for renown with a win is not being removed from comp stomp. I'm surprised Blizzard didn't touch this. Answer, it's a chance on all battleground wins, and comp stomp is a battleground, so it is staying. Difference is comp stomp is pretty much going to be a perfect victory every single time versus the other ones. So I felt it was just positive that they did it like that.
Yeah, no, it is. It is a learning there that you're like, yeah, okay, this is what happens when you don't have the fun place out. I mean, sure, is it sort of, it's going to have people doing the content, so why not? Why not?
Yeah, then the other little thing they had go on, basically you could get tertiary stats and sockets on the Unchained PvP boxes, which, very unbalanced, and that was bug. They fixed the bug. As they rightly say, situation where the best way to play PvP is to funnel gear from alts to your main. That'd be silly.
Yep.
So, with that said, Hearthstone continues to deliver things that WoW players would actually like, which is interesting. Now, also, fuck me, that game is so monetized.
Yeah.
Every time you go near Hearthstone, like, you just get a billion pop-ups of, like, money, 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 money. But yeah, there's a Dead Mines mini set. It came out. Has a nice little cinematic trailer.
It's a very nice one, too.
It was also pointed out that I think the mercenary stuff is also, there was like a recent update had another mercenary, and people really like the mercenary. And one of the reasons why people like the Book of Mercenaries even is just like it feels like that really core Warcrafty lore, Warcrafty story that we all like and we maybe don't get as much of in the modern game. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. No, that's it. Like, I actually, it's a thing that keeps happening with this, with Hearthstone. I fired that on. I was like, I watched it earlier. It's like, yo, that's really nice. I mean, obviously, you may not be one who likes the very musical, theatrical kind of tone of it all, but I think it's really quite good.
Oh, it's great, yeah.
It's really quite good. And like, basically, if this were just picked up and put into World of Warcraft as it was, in terms of thematically and stuff, I'd be happy with it, because at least it's something.
It's just that thing. The Hearthstone team are giving the core Warcraft vibe that World of Warcraft doesn't these days. And they're doing it pretty consistently. So I think there's something for the WoW team to learn in that one.
Yep, absolutely.
To be sure. Now, to go back then. To go back. Matt, you've added news to the news.
Yep.
Is it time? Where have you put
It is in the FF14 segment. Yeah, so obviously we could talk about ABK, but who cares?
Yeah.
So-
Right, Lucky Bancho update.
Yep.
Take me through it. What's going on?
Yeah, so Lucky Bancho is the person who goes and does the census via lodestone scanning and stuff every couple of months usually. I think this year it was February, July, and now November. So now we've got 1.6 million active characters above level 60.
As of
the scan that's happened today.
Okay, so as of right now.
As of right now, yeah.
Above level 6.
It's 60. So that
This
is
is the first one I would have been included in.
yes. So this is the basically to exclude free trial players.
Okay.
So there's 1.6 million characters who are actively playing. I can't remember exactly the terms of active player, but it's fairly much has logged in fairly recently, etc., etc. And they're not in the free trial. They've bought the game. They're playing. They're working away. That's 1.6 million, which is an extra 400,000 since July.
And still with a lot of people in pre-End of Heavensward.
Yep,
On the
absolutely.
free trial.
Yep. The other thing is there's 1.1 million at level 80, which means there's a lot of people at level 80. There's a lot of people on the way up as well still. Then there's 880,000 have finished 5.3. So that's, they hasn't checked for 5.5, but basically 880,000 people are ready for Endwalker. And of those 880,000 people, 864,000 have Endwalker early access.
Right.
That means 864,000 confirmed sales of Endwalker by the Lodestone.
Of course, that's because the
Yeah.
Menphili is...
The Menphine is ring.
Oh, yeah.
Menphine ring. I don't know if there's another way to check it, but
Okay, interesting.
yep. So that's the news. There's 1.6 million active characters.
And last time was July.
Last time was July, which is 1.2 million.
That's
So
pretty nice.
and we still don't know how many people are, in that trial content on the way up to 60.
I wish I could remember, because this happened years and years and years ago.
Yep.
But you remember, anyway, we were in a certain pub. We were in a public house
Public house, yep.
with an individual we both know
A drinky place, yep.
who does work at a house of game development. It shall be unnamed. That person at that house of game development had pretty fucking good analytics and competitor analysis department. What's really annoying is that I can't remember exactly what the number of paid subscribers that they thought that FF14 had all those years ago.
Yeah.
But even then, it was like pretty fucking big.
Yeah, it would have been small compared to now, but still big. Like,
Small compared to WoW as well at that time. But what I had heard from that person at that time was, oh yeah, nobody tries to compete with WoW. We're basically, just trying to compete with FF and stuff.
yeah.
So yeah, I wonder how much those things have exploded. What was the what was the World of Warcraft endgame characters again?
I can't remember.
We did a video on that.
Yeah, we did a video on that, and I cannot remember for the life of me.
Was it 2 point.
It was something like 2.6 or 2.8 or something like that.
So it's 2.8 million characters.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but of course the big difference here between FF and WoW is in FF people like have one character for the most part.
Yeah, they might have alts, but generally not.
Yeah, because you can play all the jobs on one character, whereas WoW, it's like if you want to play another class, you need another character. So WoW is going to have a higher character count than FF anyway, purely based on that. And it's, I mean, pretty fucking majorly. Like in Final Fantasy, in this, so if you were to compare like these exact same metric from FF to World of Warcraft, on FF, you would count as 1?
I would count as 1, yeah.
I would count as 1 on FF. On WoW, you would count as...
Oh, and whoa, that's a good question. How many would I
characters.
count as now? Well, in that last one where we took that number, I counted as 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were 6 or 7 characters
Yeah.
in WoW. Now, I would only be 1 at max level,
Mm-hmm.
but if you were to cut that off at like level 60 or something, you know, if you
Yeah.
were to cut that off at, you know, a lower level and you were to take, I mean, for me, I could be 10 or 15
Yeah.
because of all of the big legion of characters from Legion that I have. So that's one thing to keep in mind when we think about these.
I actually do have a small update. I need to completely confirm this data, but I've been given an update on the scan in progress for WoW rank stuff. And there's I don't believe this has been checked for like active logins. I think this is just characters overall that are available to scan. And there's 3.16 million level 60 characters with item level above 200.
Level 60?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
I got confused again.
yeah.
The squish happened,
Yeah.
Michael.
So there's 3.16 million characters that have been found with an item level above 200. But that doesn't say anything about active. So I'll definitely, like, that isn't final data. We'll do a video with an update on
So in
that
that
as soon as I
case,
have it finished.
Would
But
FF's equivalent be 1.1 million?
possibly yes.
And then WoW's is like 3.6, was it you said?
Yeah, 3.6. No, 3.16
3.16. But then you count
alts.
alts where, you know, you're 1 FF character, 6 WoW characters.
Yeah.
Most people with WoW are going to be a few alts. So, you know, you start to wonder, and it's interesting. It's interesting. These games are probably pretty close. But in both games, there's a humongous amount of people who are in the level up experience who are generally not counted by stats.
Yep, they're definitely getting close, and we're never going to see them. We're never going to see active numbers from across the board, but there's definitely a lot. The other bit of data to glean is that there's been 2 million extra registered accounts, which includes free trials, since earlier this year for FF, because they announced it was 20. I can't remember when. I mean, someone will surely know that they have, you know, thrown together, or when they said the 22 million. I think it was at the big live letter, and then 24 million in the recent one.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. So yeah, that's what it looks like. I think these games have to be very close in active players. They can't not be.
Yeah, I would
cannot
not
be.
I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
Now,
There
for
you go.
other things, there is some good news coming, hopefully, tonight. We have a live letter. 2 a.m. our time.
Woohoo! Guess I'll wake up and watch that.
7 p.m. PDT. So you can check that on YouTube and Twitch. So that will be fun. We'll probably learn new things. Well, specifically, info regarding crafters and gatherers, system-related updates, new PvP mode, and other things for Endwalker. So that's what they will be doing later. Then, the Puff is going to be leaving.
Make sure and get that sorted.
Yep. So the Dragon Quest collab is going to be ending soon. You have till Thursday, November 11th, for all of your Puffs.
Yep.
Big business. Get a hat.
Yeah.
This is a serious narrative RPG.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
That's I have to admit, it is something of a problem. I know people probably don't like this being brought up, but there's few things that actually, like, not a massive deal, but it does annoy me whenever you're the first time queuing for a trial or a dungeon and you're really in like the narrative moment of what's going on, and then there's some bastard in a chocobo suit. You're like, fuck off. You're like, okay, I understand. Very cool. And we know, and there's at least I know two people personally who are very guilty of this, who just dress like absolute meme lords. But yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Immersion.
But yeah, it's the thing where like it's really cute, but especially if you're queuing for a major story moment trial, try to put on something that isn't going to distract people at least. That would be the kinder thing to do. But I don't pay your sub fee, so work away.
Oh man! So yes, that event's going. The Moogle event is still on till 6:00 though. There's also Lyrical Journey Week 4 for Shadowbringers, which as I think we talked about recently in the last one. They're probably only doing this if there's going to be a Lyrical Journey Week 5 Endwalker.
Yep, and that's the thing. They're doing a pretty good job with how their lyrics are considered and how their music is considered. That people are actually chomping at the bit for lyrics for the Endwalker thing.
Yeah.
Not even like we haven't heard this song, because we've heard this song. We just don't know what all the lyrics are, and sometimes some of them are kind of hard to make out because of how they're sung. And people are looking for we need clarification on these 4 lines so we can understand more things going on. Come on, please, give us, please.
Yeah. Then there is the H1 financial report.
Yep.
From Square Enix. They have had a slight dip. A slight dip in the amount of money they have generated. But overall, things are actually pretty good. So, their key releases, of course, Outriders, Nier Replicant, Neo, World Ends With You, Life is Strange, True Colors. But these failed to deliver the sales seen when FF7 Remake and Marvel's Avengers launched in H1 2020.
Not a surprise.
Yeah, makes sense. Marvel's Avengers, while as a live service, it kind of cocked up. It did get a lot of sales.
It did.
Initially for, obviously what it is. Now, actually, there was an interesting thing there where they admitted that, okay, Crystal Dynamics was not the studio to go and do a live service game.
Yeah, very.
But they didn't do that in a way that was dunking on Crystal Dynamics. They did it in a way that was we as leadership should better consider some things, which I liked. Now, while it remains the smallest subsegment, sadly, MMO net sales did see a big boost, up 32.5% year on year to $27.7 billion, which is $243 million, attributed to sharp growth in the number of FF14 subscribers, which, of course, they hope will further be boosted with Endwalker. Please tell us your sub numbers, please.
Hang on a second. I have a little thought here.
Uh-oh.
I need to check something. Yes. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, that is the H1 financial report. It was people were getting confused, I saw online, because the annual report they released was talking about fiscal results ending March 31st, which is where they said about Crystal Dynamics not being the best choice for it and Marvel's Avengers being disappointing. They said that in the annual report that was talking about last year's fiscal results that ended in March this year, but this is the H1 report that's a separate thing.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of weird that around the same time they released 2 documents talking about different time periods. Cool. But one was the big annual report, the one that I was showing you with the bit they had at the end about how they do paternal and maternal leave and stuff like that. And I was like, this is kind of cool, interesting, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, so good stuff. And hopefully they get more money to
that'd be nice.
the dev team gets more resources and such. It is the most profitable game in the franchise.
Yep.
So it's pretty big. Now then, speaking of the franchise, there's the GeForce leaks.
Oh boy.
Which, those GeForce leaks proving a little bit more real as time goes on, aren't they?
Yeah. I think the specific parts that people found the specific things that have happened since that leak that has everyone going, oh shit, they're onto something here, was the GTA trilogy announcement for November and the God of War PC announcement for January. Because I think this is, so for a little bit of context here, I believe this is actually all information from the original GeForce Now leak. It's just that whoever it was actually compiled a list of all of them that have release dates attached. And now people are going, hang on, this makes sense now. Yep. Whereas before everyone was just looking at the actual list of games.
Yeah, so for some of the interesting things then.
This feels like a wish list, not even joking.
Yeah, so Chrono Cross Remaster. Now you can see these are all the first. So this is basically just we think what NVIDIA in their internal thing is penciled in for a release date.
Yeah, which is likely, I think likely they were told it's in this ballpark.
Yeah.
Because NVIDIA need to know their rough timings in order to make sure things are ready for PC. So,
Yeah,
or for not just PC, but for I guess if they're doing cloud stuff anywhere else, maybe. Who knows?
all the shit is needed. But yeah, what this then means is Chrono Cross Remaster, December 1st this year. Dragon Quest 12,
Yeah, we know that's coming, but
early
January
2023.
yep,
FF7 Remake, June 2022.
will be on PC. Obviously, that one.
Yeah. Oh, another FF remake.
FF9 remake. Yep.
Ooh.
For April.
Interesting.
We know Final Fantasy Origin is in March. We know that already.
Yep.
And then
Oh, it's going to be...
it's gonna be good.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Oh,
fun.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster, February 2022. Kingdom Hearts 4, 30th of September 2023.
Long way away. So that'll likely be, we're aiming for early 2024 after delays and stuff, likely for that. But it does mean they are at least telling NVIDIA it's going to happen.
And Tactics Ogre Remaster.
Yep.
Also.
Yeah, and this is the thing. So I've got a little bit of this for a news video that we'll be recording and coming up later on, but there's just some of these are really interesting. So the Chrono Cross Remaster, that, well, obviously to start with, the thing was that we've seen ActRaiser remake come out from this, that it was a surprise announcement, a surprise drop. It was on the list and everyone's like, that's not going to fucking happen, what are you on about? But it did. And then there's something else as well that from Square Enix. Oh yeah, Dungeon Encounter. Dungeon Encounter was also there that no one knew about. But now the Chrono Cross Remaster seems like, well, that's a bit kind of out of left field. Except for what, I was talking about this another time, I believe, but the Irish radio interview.
Yes.
Where there was an interview on an Irish radio station. I can't remember where. It was somewhere around Cork. I think it was like a Cork radio station maybe. Or maybe a Dublin one. I'm not entirely sure. But it was with one of the Irish musicians who was with the daughter of an Irish musician who worked with Yasunori Mitsuda on Chrono Cross and Xenogears. And they worked on that stuff together. And then people saw this interview was this lady talked about a PlayStation remake. That was all it was said, a PlayStation remake that there's music been worked on for. And then everyone's like, what could this be? Hang on, that person's worked with Mitsuda. What's Mitsuda been doing? Oh, there's a picture of a like a Skype call or a Teams call, whatever it was called, with that person on. Okay, PlayStation, Mitsuda, that's Chrono Cross or Xenogears. And now we're basically sure it is definitely Chrono Cross because it's here. And that could be a surprise Game Awards announcement. Maybe it's been pushed because I think some things have been pushed a bit like further back. But it almost, we have decent things, a decent reason to believe that that's real. We have other things to believe that are real. So Tactics Remaster, that makes sense. Tactics Ogre Remaster, that makes sense because Matsuno's been a little bit quiet on Twitter around a couple things. And also Yoshi P is now sitting on the board of the Final Fantasy Council of people where they're all sitting around going, well, what do we do for the Final Fantasy series next? Obviously they're going to go, well, you can't buy Tactics anymore. Give it to them. Well, you can, but it's a really old version. Doesn't really work too well on iOS now. Same with Tactics Ogre. No one can play Tactics Ogre. And, Matsuno, important. Important to him, of course. I don't have the box here, but there's a box in the office with it in.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Tactics as well. There's never been a better time for them to go, actually, right, just pump these remasters. Pump the shit out of them, get them out there, go like hell. So that's going to be a very interesting next couple months from Square Enix, which might counter, they might just be waiting for FF16 to go, here's FF16, here's everything you need to know about FF16, and go, once that's out, then, oh yeah, here's all the other stuff I'm sitting on. Please enjoy. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, certainly will. And to continue that, especially for you, Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yep,
January
2023.
1st, 2023, so 2023 sometime.
Yeah, that cannot come fast enough. I've talked about Dragon's Dogma enough.
Fight a
on
dragon
stream,
on the moon.
Fight a dragon on the moon. I can't wait. Oh my god, I can't wait.
Well, maybe you'll do that in a few weeks. In
Certainly.
fairness.
Yeah, almost certainly.
Monster Hunter 6. I'm sure that will get no small number of sales in summer 2023. Maybe, probably going to be delayed, but you know what it is. Resi 4 remake. I think that might do pretty big. November 1st, 2022. Resident Evil Outbreak remake, March 4th, 2022. And Pragmata, January 1st, 2023.
Which also has the moon.
These are not release dates. These are just I guess,
Yeah.
NVIDIA's internal sort of system date, because they need to know
Yep.
shit, as you said. So don't take that as gospel whatsoever, but,
Mm-hmm.
you know, add 6 months and it'll probably come out within that period of time.
Yeah.
Perhaps. So there you go. That is...
It's one hell of a time to be a fan of Japanese games. I've been saying this for the past like year now, but
Yeah.
especially now when everything seems to just be going perfectly right for them. Everything's just going in their favor, and they're learning all the lessons that they should have learned a long time ago. And I think that, Tales of Arise doing extremely well is kind of a big. Them announcing a Star Ocean in the West first and going, fucking you'll play it, even though the character models may not do the designs justice, as you rightfully pointed out. But it's such a great time, especially for the FF franchise. Oh yeah, and Shin Megami Tensei 5 is coming out. Well,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and reviews have been very, very fun for that, because obviously everyone who's just going, Shin Megami Tensei 5, it feels kind of like a Persona game, but without the parts that make Persona Persona. And you're like,
Whoa.
don't be fucking stupid. That's, for fuck's sake.
What a surprise.
Yeah.
So we could next do a quick hop over to Korea for Lost Ark or ABK Q3 report.
Do that ABK Q3 report.
All right. So, well, honestly, let's just rocket through this.
Yeah, this isn't much time.
So, I mean, your TLDR is just go watch our video. Not already. But you'll have more in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, basically, Overwatch 2 delayed 2023. Diablo 4 delayed 2023.
It's so unfortunate.
Jen O'Neill, co-leader of Blizzard, gone. She's quit. She's working on DEI stuff, supposedly in a larger industry capacity. And Blizzard are making a $1 million donation to Women in Games International. It's not that much money, really.
It's really not.
So they're doing that, which, I mean, I don't know how this is just like Jen's leaving. How do we make this as PR tenable as is possible? Because employees only found out about Jen's departure, in fact, at the when it was found out of this earnings call.
Yeah, I think it was Jason Schreier pointed out that they basically held every bit of stock affecting news for this one blow. So like, if we're going to get shot, we'll just get shot the once in a really vital place. Is kind of what the vibe was there. So
Yeah, and here's what is fun. It was noted that higher voluntary turnover and the departure of a number of individuals across the company were contributing factors. So voluntary... Our staff left and now the game's delayed because we need more.
I wonder what could contribute to that.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. For why would you be working on Overwatch 2 and then decide you didn't want to work on Overwatch 2 anymore and have to leave the company? I wonder, is it something to do with Jeff Kaplan leaving, maybe?
Who?
Is it maybe something to do with a lot of Overwatch Overwatch workers maybe actually being Toys for Bob people who were put onto the project after their own work was cancelled? Maybe? Who knows?
I think that
Who
bit
knows?
is more rumor.
That is more rumor, and I believe the general gist is most of Toys for Bob were pushed to Call
They
of
were
Duty
cost,
as
they were
opposed to
mostly cost.
Overwatch. But you know, if you're working on Overwatch 2 and you didn't want to work on Overwatch 2 and you leave, maybe management should think about that a little
Was
bit.
it too easy for another company to give a better competing offer?
Yep. They thought they wanted jobs, but they didn't.
Now planning for a later launch than originally envisioned. Good times are just around the corner, Blizzard. Oh, man. Yeah. They've made the decision to give them the extra time to deliver the experience, and they're not going to be there in 2022. Fucking ouch. Speaking of ouch, they released D2R and had flat MAUs,
That's brutal.
meaning that everything else generally went down, but Diablo 2 Resurrected came in and saved their ass. Now, yes, they did have 20% revenue growth, but no shit. They sold Diablo 2 Resurrected, which was actually said to be the best performing remaster in the company. That means it beat Spyro, beat Crash, beat Tony Hawk, did super well. World of Warcraft, I love this, is on track to deliver its strongest engagement in net bookings outside of a modern expansion year in a decade. So that means... previous to this decade, those ones beat this. That's the first thing it means. Second thing it means, this is the most monetized expansion has been. Or sorry, a post-expansion launch year has been, because you have classic TBC with the Dark Portal Pass. You have, just all that, right? Also included in this quarter was the start of the Hearthstone promo. So, just saying, shouldn't be flat, especially when patch 9.1 came out like the last day of Q2, meaning anyone who went in to play patch 9.1 will have been there Q2 and Q3.
Yep.
So, just things to be wary of.
Gotta have figure out the quality behind the quantity, and you'll learn an awful lot more.
Yeah, then there's some other fun things like Overwatch 2's next competitive season running, or Overwatch, the next the season of the Owl is running on Overwatch 2, a game that people can't play. Do you imagine, sorry, LCS is running in League of Legends 2 this year. What's that? You want to put... No. So that's a bit weird.
Yeah,
Just
what's...
seems like trying to drum up hype.
Yeah.
Hearthstone netbooking stable.
Yeah.
And then they just call out that Mercenaries exists. There's a new revenue vertical.
Yep.
Goodbye, Jen.
Yep. Goodbye indeed.
Yes, Jen is gone. Mikey Barra is the sole leader of Blizzard Entertainment now. That has led to certainly led to a few tweets. So there's we're collectively in shock. Email announcing this came at the same time as the earnings call. That just means it feels managed.
Yeah.
PR wise.
Yep.
Jason Schreier pointing it out. Oh yeah, they've timed all of the bad news to happen at once. Then, her message.
Yeah.
We've already talked about, which, it basically is just like, I'm not leaving because I'm sad about Blizzard. I'm leaving because I'm happy about Blizzard, but I'm spurred on to do greater things in the industry. Woo. And yeah, I'm sure she is, but it's obviously bad for the staff and bad for Blizzard themselves overall.
It's very, very sad, because I think there's an element going on here of Blizzard just losing every quarter. Every month there's just something worse. And it doesn't hit Activision quite as hard, because at least they're making games, relatively speaking. Their games might be Call of Duty, and that's all now, but at least they've got Call of Duty and Call of Duty Warzone. So it just, obviously King just running around completely unaffected, but who cares, it's mobile trash.
Yeah.
So everyone's just like, Blizzard are the ones taking the beating every single time. And obviously a lot of it is their fault. So you kind of go, well, you've put yourself in this position, so, just take the beating. It's your fault. But it's just so unfortunate. Looking at the people behind it all, imagine how disheartening it must be to work at Blizzard in today's age. Today's just this year, it's very, 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 very disheartening to see.
Yeah.
Generally, when it comes to the things going a bit wrong, I'll kind of sort of in the way I do go, haha, will you deserve that one? Haha, will you deserve that one? Now it's just starting to feel a little bit grim.
Yeah, and it's rough because it does make their games worse. It has an impact. They're clearly higher voluntary turnover that is now contributing to 2 major delays. Hey, where's our WoW patch schedule? Where'd that go?
Yep.
Oh, what? Chris and his team have all wandered off and made a new studio? Including, people who have done serious fucking art heavy lifting. The guy who built Borealis, he's gone.
Yep.
Major engineer as well, he's gone. You're not keeping your staff. It's just all of the, whatever is going on with the team. It's just tricky because, all that we players know is there's turnover issues. It's even been acknowledged here. It's been acknowledged here. And what do we know? Well, we don't have as much content as we used to. So what are we supposed to think about this? It's pretty obvious.
Yep. I think they have a very, 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 very long road to redemption.
Yeah.
If one exists for them, which, I fully believe it does, it just requires them to actually knuckle down and do it. It's going to be a very long one. And just for I think they could do a pretty good job with World of Warcraft and do a pretty good job with, like, release Overwatch 2, release Diablo 4, and they're good. They could do that and everyone would be like, okay, sweet. We'll be tentatively back in your corner. We'll not be fully back in the corner. We'll still have an exit strategy here as fans, as players, but it's all of the mechanical problems or the execution problems of running a business that they've now run into. Whereas, like, your leader left 3 months after joining, that's a bit... without knowing the truth, people are going to assume the worst. Like, I imagine a lot of people in chat are just assuming the worst. Just, oh, well, she must have saw the fire and went, I'm not cleaning this up. This isn't my business. I'm out of here. Even though there's nothing to lead... There's no reason for us to believe that outside of we don't know. So the absence of information creates that thought process. How are you going to hire people? How are you going to hire good people?
That's what gets me. Like, if you're not super competitive on pay and stuff like that.
Yep. Which obviously we've heard they're fixing, but
yeah, it's like they're not going to be the hot pick.
Yep.
Are the best new staff going to be dying to go to Blizzard? No.
Nope. So
Yeah, they are not.
Yep, it's a slow crawl back, sadly, but
Yeah, pretty much. So, Lost Ark.
Yep.
I've not got into it yet because I am going through. I'm doing MSQ.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to try Lost Ark. Laced really likes it.
Yes, he does.
Watched Stoops' video on it. Seemed potentially quite interesting. So you've put a bit of time in. What's up?
So, it's interesting. My impressions are very here for you in the document. They're not the most
Korean, beautiful, meaty. Well,
yeah. So they're about the game, by the way, but it's just these are kind of just me kind of taking the piss a little bit. But the idea is that it's a very Korean game. You feel that immediately, but not in a way that's in any capacity bad until you get to some elements. But you just kind of know, oh, I know what kind of game this is when I'm going in. I know exactly what this is. It's really pretty, and it runs really well.
Oh.
It is beautifully presented and beautifully set up. Everything is just screams gorgeous about it. And for context, I played it for about 3 hours just last night. So I got through the prologue. I didn't skip the prologue immediately. I played through it, and then I decided I didn't want to play Gun Lancer and swapped to Assassin so I could play Shadowhunter. But I did that and played a little bit with a friend. It was... What I say meaty is, like, if you play that Assassin video up there for a little bit, I sort of skipped like the last maybe third. It should be showing off Shadowhunter stuff, yeah. And like everything you feel, all of those abilities feel incredible. It's
I saw like the sound design and everything being really good.
Yeah, they look and they feel fantastic. It is definitely like the most immediate I've ever played like an ARPG kind of game. I went, oh, this is nice. Oh, this feels good. Not to the same degree, but in the way that a Devil May Cry will feel or a Bayonetta will feel, where you're hitting buttons going, oh yes, this is what it's about. And that's one of the things that is like what World of Warcraft always got right, but people sort of I think people kind of forgot that over time. But it really feels good to play.
Yeah.
It really feels good to play. Everything about the UX is gorgeous. And it does take a little while for things to start to be actually kind of fun enemy design wise.
Right.
But as soon as I got into the first dungeon with other people on hard mode, I was like, oh, this is actually good. I have to dodge stuff. The enemy tells are like obvious enough for me to move. I'm engaging with the game properly, and it feels really good to play. The health values are nice. Just how you press buttons, how you build, all feels kind of nice so far immediately. And then there's the other thing that I say surprisingly fresh, and I say fun and engaging, and I also say Uncharted with a question mark, because it does one thing that I think Wolcen did a little bit of it.
Right.
But Grim Dawn doesn't do much of it. Diablo doesn't do much of it. I don't remember Path of Exile doing very much of this. But it's very much, hey, here's single player adventure game feeling parts where it is not afraid for narrative stuff to take the camera away from you.
Oh,
which
good.
is weird in an isometric game, I find. At least an ARPG kind of one. But it's very happy to take the camera away from you and go, right, you're now in the corner while something's happening. Or
I've heard people enjoy that.
Yeah.
I think it was Stoops
Yeah, no, I think it's one of the better parts of it overall, is that it feels like a decent single player experience in those ways that are very much inspired by Uncharted, where you're going and you're crossing a narrow beam, but it feels like your character's a little bit, the character has to walk over.
Yeah.
You're not walking yourself; it's all automated because you just press G, and you start doing it. But it's really quite fun to experience all that. I've heard it gets boring when there's dungeon segments that do that and you're running the dungeon multiple times, of course. But when I first did in a dungeon, or when I first did in the world, I was like, oh, okay, this actually feels like good content. This feels like it's considered like an experience, as opposed to just, we've got core combat and the game's finished. It feels a lot more experiential like that. And then the same when it comes to the kind of narrative experience. It doesn't have the most engaging story so far, but it at least tries, which I think is better than PoE being full of lore, as an example, where its story isn't all that engaging. But it does interesting things that I didn't expect, which is to say, it feels like a single player game where it goes, nah. The system that you're used to of, oh, you're finished here, well, we'll put you back out where you began, doesn't matter. They're happy to go, no, we will load you into this specific scenario because an event happened.
Right.
It's maybe pulled you away from what you were doing with your friend, but if you're going through the story together, to put you in a solo thing. But no, it feels like you're a character in the world, which gives me similar
matters.
Gives me similar vibes to what FF14 does at times with the solo duties and stuff like that. Not to the same strength of narrative overall, but it's really nicer. I'm genuinely surprised by it. I'm excited to play a lot more because it feels good to play, but it is exceedingly Korean. And by that I mean I opened the store and my eyes nearly exploded. I opened the store and my eyes nearly exploded. I was like, I cannot deal with any of this. This is just, there's 500 different things called different things. There's 12 different systems that are all monetizable in ways that I don't quite understand yet. And I tried to go through it and figure it out, but I couldn't actually open any of the currency exchanges.
Did not seem like big down on this stuff.
Okay.
There was one or two things I believe, did he say it was like kind of Black Desert-ish, but nowhere near as bad. I think that was specifically for item upgrades.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like in the store, and certainly the store is what could ruin a game like this.
I think, because I did go through some reviews from Steam from long-time players and some short-term players, but it feels like it's a very good game quickly and immediately. It catches your attention, it's fun to play, all that stuff is there, and it does continue the whole way through. But I think there is definitely a case of the gear is just BDO-ish, which is, all right, get your upgrades, random chance to fail, random chance to succeed.
Just
monetize to go faster.
When you fail, shit isn't like destroyed or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure
I think
myself,
in BDO there's more of a downside whenever the RNG does not go the way you want it to.
Yeah, no, I think depends on how the implementation for the Western version works, but there's a lot of people who have played it for a long time that are kind of down on the systems overall.
Okay.
But for the experience of someone who's playing it, this is why I'm kind of happy about it being like strong for just the content experience, which is where I'll engage with games a lot more than getting caught in a system and playing the game for the system over and over again. As a content experience, I think it is very, very good so far. That said, if I've played it for 3 hours in one evening, and playing the Shadowhunter felt great to me. So especially if it's free to play, this is looking very strong for hopping in and just playing away for a while.
And like numbers wise, its beta is actually up there with New World.
Yeah.
New
World's beta was like 140k.
This is 88k.
Yeah.
And like that's
huge.
Pretty damn big. 96% on Steam. That's also pretty damn big.
Yep.
Diablo 4 should be scared of this game. There's one Steam review.
Yeah.
Apparently this was not a success initially in Korea, but the game director and the devs listened and they were able to turn it around. I didn't know this, but apparently it is actually the number one MMO in Korea right now. So yeah, pretty big. Pretty big. Oh, that's interesting. Apparently a Maple Story, a Lineage, and I don't know that one, but I know Maple Story and Lineage. I didn't know they were on the down right now. But anyway, there you go. Lost Ark's doing really well over there. Perhaps it will happen here. Now, there were some negatives.
Yeah, this is kind of mostly just, well, the TLDR this person gave was a watered down Blade and Soul, an isometric view, mounts, and a mobile feel to it. Nothing to do with PoE or Diablo, not an ARPG, which I think I'll obviously they're splitting hairs on whether it's an ARPG because the PoE and Diablo have that heavy gear customization loop going on, whereas this game appears to be more kind of linearly gearing in the sense of World of Warcraft-ish, where you're just you're not getting massive customization, you're getting stat upgrades and stuff like that. But obviously without playing the game at a higher level, I can't say, I don't know. But it just seems like this person specifically has a lot of issues from the balance side of things, as well as like longevity. Some pay to win on the, oh yeah, if you're having problems with like gear upgrades and stuff, just pay your way through it, which is really frustrating for someone who's trying to engage with that. But generally speaking, it's the problems that someone who's played it for 1,000 hours will actually have problems with, know those problems, but people who play for 100 maybe won't feel those. That's the kind of gist from the first one there.
Trade premium cash up currency for in-game gold, which is then used to upgrade equipment.
Yeah.
Game made terribly grindy on purpose so that F2P players will never reach anywhere near max eye level, even if they grind in 4 to 5 characters a day. So there could be a little bit here of free-to-play MMO. Oh dear.
That's the fear, largely.
Interesting.
Yep, that's the fear. But as far as I'm concerned, at least right now, I didn't get a beta key from anywhere. I just bought the Bronze Founders pack for 13 quid. And I was like, because basically the story of how I came to play this was I went home yesterday. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go and play some FF14. I'm going to go in, do some roulettes on Red Mage, continue leveling that. Sweet. Went in, checked in with my flatmate, went, right, how's it going? What are you up to? Oh, playing Lost Ark. Oh,
Of course he is.
Shit, sweet. Yeah, of course he is. Big ARPG fan, him. I was like, oh, sweet. And I went into his room and watched him, he showed me what, the Gunslinger, I think it was. I think it was a Gunslinger. I can't remember which subclass, but he was playing Gunslinger. He was doing that stuff and just showing me how all the abilities felt and how they looked. And I was like, you know what? Just seeing this for a little bit has inspired me for 13 quid. I might as well give it a go. Maybe I'll get some content out of it. Hello. And then I went and I played with him for a couple hours and was like, yeah, this is actually a really good experience for this so far. So as far as a MMO goes, I've really no concept or context for how to talk about it myself. But as far as I've bought a game for 13 quid, I'm going to play it for a couple dozen hours and have a good time with it. I'm definitely very, very happy so far. I think if I finished a lot of stuff in the beta, I would even have my money out of it before it even goes live in March. So I think that's a very important thing. It's just the problem of, Amazon said no pay to win in the West, but I don't know about that. I mean, you can trust them sort of, but there's stuff on the store that's related to gear upgrades, I believe, at the minute. Not that I know, because...
Will that be on the launch store? Because Amazon have said no pay to win, then.
Yeah.
Because it is being published by Amazon.
Yeah.
It's not like it's being... Is it Nexon that's... I forget the one that people get very spooked about whenever they hear they're publishing. I think it's the people...
Most of them, honestly.
What was the game that had the farming and the boats?
You're gonna have to
It had
do
the farming.
that.
It had the boats. Back. I forgot the name of the game, but it got pay to. It was like one of those games where it had humongous potential in the pay to. Arcade, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Arcade, yes.
Yeah, so it's not one of those people or one of those companies, right?
Yeah. Well,
surely
Amazon.
Well, yeah, but surely they'll stick to their word.
Yeah, so it is a
small.
small.
Saying that, because New World doesn't have the pay to win.
Yet question mark
yes,
TM.
Yes, true.
Yeah, because they've said that. It's interesting because it's a Smilegate game.
Okay, people are saying think more Warframe.
Okay. Well, if that's what they're going for, then if they can keep the Warframe actual feel to it, where people are kind of happy to play that way, then that's okay. It's just, obviously because it's not super competitive or anything like that, then I imagine it'll be okay for people to take it at their own pace.
Yeah.
So it won't be too much of a problem, but it's interesting. I wish I had more context for it, but it's hard for me to get context for a game that was released in Korea, Russia, and Japan without a whole bunch of research time or actually experience it myself, which I can't do in the beta. So it's very, very, very... very good as a tourist game so far. That's about as much as I can confirm, realistically. And I would definitely, if you have a beta key, I would definitely suggest you give it a try. if you can pick one up from anywhere or you find it, because if you like ARPG combat, it's fun. It's fun. Especially, well, this is the thing. I've seen people who are like talking about meta comps for late game, saying, "Oh, well, a lot of classes aren't very viable," stuff like that. And you know, the way you want to run is 3 damage dealers and a support. And I'm just like, okay, well, that kind of really limits how you're going to want to play if stuff's balanced around that. Kind of in the same way World of Warcraft just has classes that are dead for high-end stuff, but they're not really that dead for high-end stuff. It's like meta, sets community ideas as opposed to reality, or opposed to playing anything below the highest end. Because a lot of them are really, really interesting. A lot of the classes look and play fucking great. Like, it's the first time in a while I've not opened a game and went, well, I know what I'm doing. It was like, Gunlancer looks so cool. Berserker seems really, really cool. Shit, Mage looks incredible. Bard looks fun. What do I do? I spent so long playing Assassin because you get a little trial segment at the start where you do like a 1 minute intro on a class. You start at level 10 and they go, okay, you can test out your subclasses here. And Assassin subclasses were Deathblade and Shadowhunter. And I was agonizing, swapping between testing two of them, going, oh, they're so fun. Everything feels good in both of them. I just can't decide. Ultimately, I went with Shadowhunter because it's got the big, it's the big demon arm grab thing that I really, really felt like the best ability in the game. So it seems I'll definitely keep my eye on it. And I'll definitely, if we can get decent time carved out, especially maybe in beta, maybe for its launch, definitely worth a very, very big investigation.
Yeah,
because
I'd like to do that.
This is a massive game for people. Like,
I will get some in over the next 2 weeks, depending on MSQ, because I'm about to start 4.1.
Yep.
I have a very fucking clear goal. I want to be there and Walker launch day because it's only going to happen once, and I want to be there. And I want to be there in the like community as we're all experiencing that story for the first time together. Yeah. I just felt like that's just going to be a cool and memorable thing, so I really want to do it that way.
Yep. Well, there's a decent bit of extra little motivation for that. And that is, I'm currently working on, I only scoped a little bit of it out today, but I have a list of theories for Endwalker that I want to loop into a video for the day before it goes up.
I better go quick.
Yep. Because I want to see what that ends up like. God, there's some crazy shit.
I'll see, maybe before I go to bed tonight. 4.1 may have occurred. Because, look, for the TLDR with Stormblood, basically, Stormblood's, like, big moments and set pieces are really cool, but the connective tissue is definitely below a Heaven's Ward. Yeah. It's still overall fun, and the last third, like, where, you know, you kind of like do like Doma Castle, and then you kind of get into everything else, that's all, like, really good, and the pacing feels great, but certainly there's swathes of the beginning in Alamigo and swathes of like the first like big I mean a lot of Doma honestly is like a major drag. It's like a major drag with good bits, and then their big bits of the story are all pretty good, but I can certainly now understand people's critiques of Stormblood. But from what I hear, the Stormblood patch MSQ is where it is really significantly better.
That's good. Yep.
So that is yeah, like I like the ending, and like after the end I actually feel pretty like pumped to get in there and get going, and I feel like it only goes up from here, and then of course Shadowbringers is Shadowbringers. Yep.
And I don't mean to really throw you under the bus, but my God, I did the ending trial of 4.0 with him today. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Let's just say I was rather delirious. It was rather fucking delirious during it, and I may have died like twice.
I think people who have played it will understand when I say he went slip sliding away.
Oh, yes, my very end. I didn't know the mechanic was coming. I was moving. I slip slide away, die, and as I fall to my death, the fade to black to the end cinematic happens. It's pretty good.
God, that was funny. Yep.
Ah, dear. Yeah. So, this is good. We've got somebody saying 4.1 to 4, or Play-Doh 4.1 to 4.3 is really good, and then Demon Dressed 4.3 to 4.5 are top tier.
They're good.
All right. Well, that seems like all of them, so I'm pretty happy.
Yep. Nope. Yeah. He actually seriously is putting severe amounts of time in. It's brutal.
Huh?
You're
Oh.
putting severe amounts of time into it. It's
Am I?
brutal. Yeah. Yeah, you're going hard. Like,
Am I?
yeah, I think it might be okay to call you Sakaguchi Jr. at this point in time.
No way.
No, not that hard. No.
That's really well.
Yep.
I did Stormblood in 3 proper sittings.
That's pretty good. Like,
Is that pretty hard?
that's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, I did Heaven's Ward patch, and I did Heaven's Ward in like 2.5 sittings, and Heaven's Ward's patch in like really 2 sittings, but like one was a little split. But yeah, I don't know, man. I've just been blasting. You know how it is, right?
Yep.
Oh right, party people are. Is it not normal to just sit down and play a game for 6 hours?
No, that's really not normal.
See, that used to be my normal, but then, you know, like job and everything. So I've never,
Yep.
so I'm like, oh, the whole idea of playing a video game for like the idea of even playing 20 hours of video game in a week has been alien to me for like so long,
Yeah.
just because work has been a big fucking pump. Interesting. Well, I don't know. I think it's impossible to beat Sakaguchi.
Yeah, no.
It's impossible.
Yeah, Matt just didn't sleep. Play
Yeah.
FF.
Yeah. Like what Sakaguchi did for Shadowbringers.
Yeah.
You win, big man. I can't do that.
That's even.
Um.
That's so funny to me. My God.
Oh yeah. So. Aye. That's the crack with that. I am very. Oh yes, sir. I'm fiddling around with my cards.
Yeah.
As long as the bank one's at the back, so people can't see the number.
Yep. So what will?
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I'm very sleepy.
Yeah, I think we will begin to wrap up. But before we wrap up, if you would be so kind as to go through the next segment on what we have prepared for you today.
What?
No, the last one.
Where?
This week's new videos.
Oh yes, we had
So
new
I wouldn't
videos
want to
this
waste
week.
Dark Horse. Good work in preparing this.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So here's some advertisement for our content. We've got Ian speaking out in
There
a
he
very
is.
flattering thumbnail.
I just got a screenshot from the video. What can I do?
Yeah.
I mean, here's the problem. Everyone uses the same photo of Ian from an old press kit, and it just means that every thumbnail looks the same. So whenever there is some new As a Ghost's content, it you know shall be there. But
Honestly, I think it's mostly the tilt that does it. It's a tilt that just kind of makes it look off.
well, just because I only had so much of him because
Yeah.
of his camera angle, so I kind of had to go in there. So anyway, there's that video. There's then watch this one next. I mean, I'm not saying that because it's also not doing that well, but it also
Oh, dear.
might be doing not that well because people are here. YouTube probably is pretty sad about that. But look, dragons, Dragon Isles could be a return to form. I think it's a really good video. So watch it next. Woo, Dragon Isles. Over on our other channel, though, the end of Heaven's Ward. There it is in video form. Big good.
Hang on a second.
Uh-oh.
See that white line in that thumbnail? I thought that was just a fucking export window bug in Photoshop, but that's actually in the thumbnail. I'm an idiot. Very good.
Pog.
Very good. Thumbs up me for double checking things.
There it is.
Yep. Oh, spoilers. Move out.
Oh dear. Yeah,
Yep,
there
no.
it is. Well, they'll call that the white line of success.
Whoopsies. Yep. So this is what happens when you get so distrustful of Adobe software that you just kind of expect its fuck ups to be normal and don't expect it to actually do that.
Nice. That's a pretty epic one. I've not had that before.
Yep. No, that's
GG. Then there was also
Very good.
Matt's
Yep.
first hosted video.
Yep. That was fucking stressful.
Big. This is fucking. I mean, I have no idea what's in this video. I'm not allowed to watch it till I've finished Shadowbringers.
You're not allowed until you finish 5.5. Then you watch.
5.5. Yeah. So look, everyone says that this is the business, and I can say that because I didn't host it. So this video, it's the business. There we go. So fun stuff going on the new channel. Also, stuff going on news. So if you want to dive into the latest Acti Blizz content, we do have the coverage of their rather terrible day. New World, updating that.
That's not
Big
going-
mess.
It's not going so well.
Now, fair play to Amazon. They do actually have some pretty good, they're working on it.
Yep.
We don't wish them bad at all, but they have had a fair amount of issues being playing the game. Microsoft and Sony, we've got coverage of their Q2 financial results, which, believe me, is actually interesting.
Yes, it genuinely is.
And then Ubisoft, their financial results, because look, they surprised us. I don't know if they surprised anyone else. They surprised us. You could say we're just a bit disconnected with what goes on in console land. I think it actually might be a fair degree of that.
Maybe, yep.
But yeah, covering that. So there you go. So for content, I'd say definitely check out Matt's first video, and also check out what we just posted on the Warcraft channel about the Dragon Isles. Because there's stuff I think could be going on there. And the whole point where, look, the dragons won't tell anyone what's going on there.
Yeah.
So it is an active conspiracy within the Warcraft lore. And we always love a good conspiracy, don't we?
Aye, yep.
So there you go. That's the content.
That's us. That's the content as well.
Oh, there's us again.
Yeah, let's
I only
both-
did this to bring up the chat window.
Okay, well, we're not putting it. It's all right.
Oh,
Also,
yes.
thank you for the kind words. That video was good. Thank you very much. Certainly.
Yes, it was a banger, I am told.
Yeah, no, I'm...
I'll do a reaction video to it.
yeah, that's... I feel like that's almost like an Ouroboros kind of thing going on there, where it's just the channel reacting to its own content. Ah, there you go. You've just finished. You've found an infinity loop of content. Good job.
Big.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be good.
Didn't Alex Straza commit suicide?
Ah,
Well, that would be a surprise.
yeah.
No. No? Wait.
I'm pretty sure she did. No.
Alex Straza's fine.
Yeah, no, I think all she did was say, I'm done, basically.
Yeah, I was very sleepy.
How do we sit down? Went, here's... Because we went back to her in the Nightfake campaign.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, Sarah's alive in the Shadowlands, and she went, I don't really know what's going on. Anyway, take this to her, maybe. And I was like,
I don't give a fuck. Bye.
yeah, I was like, I'm just doing this so I can get my content finished, please. Please. Which bodes quite poorly for, all of the people who put the thought and care into that return in that world quest. Or that world quest. In the world, in that quest. Very sad. Very sad. Very sad.
Maybe we'll get her back. But anyway, that is it for us tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I've just dropped a video in the chat.
Have you?
I may indeed even pin that message. There you go, pin message. If you want to watch something next, watch that one. We'll get into the dragons and a sort of returning to Azeroth thing that could, have Warcraft feel Warcrafty. And the good news there is that Ian, in that VentureBeat article, did actually acknowledge people wanting to go back to Azeroth, and maybe even a bit of a TikTok between, cosmic weirdness and grounded Azeroth we all know and love. Which, does sort of imply that our next expansion is not going to be bonkers.
Yep.
Should be kind of nice. So,
Does that link work?
oh, was it a dead link? No, there it is.
No. Oh, it's just It's just for some reason, because I'm signed into YouTube Studio. It tries to open that video in YouTube Studio, but I'm on the right account and it's still bugging out.
Yeah. Site don't work.
I feel like sometimes YouTube are hiring people from Adobe.
Uh-oh. Oh, that is Jesus, that's cruel.
Yep.
Oh, man. Okay, well, I'm very sleepy. And MSQ.
Yep.
While I cannot be Sakaguchi, I can at least learn from him.
Yep.
So that's the plan. All right. Have a great night, everyone. If you would like to watch another video from us somehow after sitting through 2.5 hours of us, you can check out the Dragon Isles one. And I suppose with that, have a great evening, and we will see you next time.
Yes.
I think that would be that, wouldn't it?
Yes.